Gentlemen, start your engines.
Has signaled 40 drivers to start their engines and begin the Heinz Southern 500 from Darlington Raceway in South Carolina. Race number 21 out of 29 in the Winston Cup season for 1990. A Labor Day tradition that began in 1950 here at this facility on the very first super speedway that NASCAR ran on. He arrived 40 years ago in a 1950 Plymouth from a place they call the City of Lights. It took nearly 6 hours and 40 minutes, but Johnny Mance would be the first among 70 drivers to win the first Southern 500, his greatest win, his only win. 40 years later, another California upstart hopes his first win at Bristol last week will not be his only.
I hope that I can take the experience I gained from winning my first Winston Cup race to turn it into winning my second Winston Cup race, but there's a lot of guys that's only won one and hadn't turned it into that second one, and I know they gained just as much.
It's now a thoughtful Ernie Irvan who awaits his next shot at the track they call Too Tough to Tame. But the memory of the spring race at Darlington looms large. Well, here comes Ernie Irvan making a bid for second place. He goes to the inside of Bodine. They touch coming up the corner. Irvan's going to lose it right here on the main straightaway. It will be a lesson that all have learned, a lesson that has carried the greats to championships.
Uh-oh, he's loose again and taking Shrader with him.
You know, we thought we could win here at Darlington last time we were here. We found that to be wrong. So in about 15 races, I learned how to win a race. So I hope I learned enough to come to Darlington and be smart enough to even come close to winning Darlington.
ESPN, the world's leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. Today, live from Darlington Raceway in South Carolina, a sold-out crowd has gathered here to carry on a Labor Day weekend tradition that began 40 years ago, the Heinz Southern 500. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins, and welcome to Darlington. It's very important to start up front here at Darlington because since 1959, only one driver started outside the top 10 and went on to win the Southern 500. The points battle heats up with 9 more races to go. 423 markers separate the top 5 in points, and these guys are starting within the top 10. So too are the 3 drivers eligible for a $100,000 bonus from R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company. And starting in the top 11, the 3 drivers who have won for the very first time in Winston Cup competition during the 1990 season. Now, when you come to Darlington, you not only battle the guy that's behind you and in front of you and beside you, but you also battle the racetrack. Here's Ned and Benny.
Bob, over the years, this track has been called many things. The Lady in Black, the granddaddy of them all, and now they call it Too Tough to Tame, and they've been called some other things as well that we can't mention on the air. But that Too Tough to Tame, Benny, fits because it is one of the toughest tracks on the circuit, and there's reason for it. It has a unique design.
It's an egg-shaped racetrack, and turns 1 and 2 is 200 yards shorter than turns 3 and 4. The racetrack also very narrow, but turns 3, you go in there, you get back on the gas, you're going through the corner, it seems fine, and all of a sudden the racetrack goes dead left. If you turn too soon, you hit the apron. You turn too late, you run into the outside retaining wall. In victory lane, the drivers today is going to say, I survived Darlington, not I conquered Darlington. And another problem today, Bob, is the heat, because I'm leaking severely already.
Temperature is in the low 90s and a lot of humidity also. Now let's take a look at the Sears Die-Hard starting lineup. Dale Earnhardt has won his 4th pole in 5 races. He'll start from the pole today in the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet. And Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia, the 85 and 88 winner here, will start alongside. In the second row, it's Jeff Bodine from Chemung, New York, and the number 11 Budweiser Ford. Alongside will be defending Winston Cup champion Rusty Wallace in the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac number 27. The third row has Ricky Rudd from Chesapeake, Virginia in the Levi Garrett Chevrolet number 5, and Brett Bodine in the Quaker State Buick car number 26. Row number 4, Harry Gant from Taylorsville, North Carolina in the Skoal Bandit Oldsmobile number 33, and the number 7 Xerox 4 driven by Alan Kowicki from Greenfield, Wisconsin. Starting 9th, Derek Cope, Spanaway, Washington, Purelator Chevrolet car number 10. And the current points leader in Winston Cup competition from Batesville, Arkansas, the Folgers Coffee Ford Mark Martin. Ernie Irvin will start in 11th position in the Kodak Film Chevrolet car number 4, and then Davey Allison in the Haviland Ford car number 28. As you look at the rest of the starting lineup, 40 cars will begin this event here this afternoon. The field breakdown has 11 Pontiacs, 9 Chevys, 9 Fords, 7 Oldsmobiles, and 4 Buicks. The field now is on the racetrack warming up, although they don't really need to get very warm because it is a very hot and sultry day in South Carolina as the field gets set to take the green flag for 500 miles of competition. Let's go to Jerry Punch on pit road.
Bob, indeed, it is an extremely warm day here in Darlington, South Carolina, but if you consider the favorites for the field, don't look any further than the front row. Dale Earnhardt, it's his kind of racetrack. It's hot, it's slick, he likes to slip and slide, but Bill Elliott here has not finished out of the top 10, but twice in 25 starts. Remember 85, Elliott sat on the pole, won it, and won the Winston Million, so the front row, awfully strong. Let's go to John Kernan.
Jerry, one of the critical factors in today's race right here, the Goodyear Racing Radial. Now, the problem with this tire right here is that it falls off, and lap times will drop dramatically. Now, that means that a 4-tire change will be the rule and not the exception. That also puts a premium on these tires, so you better believe when a car drops out of the race, the bidding war will begin. And Ernie Irvin, I'm told, is coming into the pits now for a check. Bob?
Indeed, the green flag is out. The Heinz Southern 500 underway, but Ernie Irvin is on pit road.
And so is Davey Allison. Davey Allison in the pits, and they're going under the, well, no, it looked like the left front fender maybe was rubbing on his car. So 2 top cars in the pits as Earnhardt leads down the backstretch. Those 2 cars get out and should stay in the lead lap.
Dale Earnhardt leads the Southern 500 with Bill Elliott on his tail, and the 2 cars that did come in for a pit stop, Davey Allison and Ernie Irvin, have gotten back out there, and both are getting up to speed and apparently will not lose a lap. Ernie Irvin got out ahead of Davey Allison, so he stands less of a chance to go a lap down. The field moves high through the 3rd and 4th corners with Earnhardt showing the way. Let's go to Jerry Punch for a report.
Apparently, Davey Allison had a problem with the steering wheel. The steering wheel detaches quickly from the steering column. When they went into turn 1 on the pace lap, the steering wheel wasn't set right, so they came in to make sure the pin was in the steering wheel. Awfully critical here. You can't steer these without a steering wheel.
Alan Kowicki and Mark Martin are spinning in the first corner, and so is Derek Cope. So again, we see some car. That's Greg Sachs also losing it, and the yellow flag comes out.
Our Winston Cup point leader is moving. There goes the 6th car. The one in the very rear is Mark Martin. He is moving.
The field racing back to the yellow flag here in front of us. Dale Earnhardt will take the yellow flag with Bill Elliott second, then Bodine and Rusty Wallace. And everybody involved in that spin over in turn number 1, I believe, got away okay. I don't believe there was any contact with the wall, but there was sure a lot of spinning going on up there. And here's a look at it once again.
Well, of course, it has already happened. You can see
I believe that's
Kowicki down on the inside.
Yes, it was Mark Martin and Alan Kowicki. I looked up, and there comes Sachs. He sees the smoke, backs off the gas, and he spins. But again, I don't think the contact between the 3 cars, Sachs doesn't hit anything, and I don't think the contact between the first 2 cars, Kowicki and Martin, was that severe.
So the first caution of the afternoon comes out on the 3rd lap as 3 cars spin in turn number 1 in the 1990 Southern 500. Just 3 laps into the Heinz Southern 500 here at Darlington, and the yellow flag is out for the first time because of a spin involving 3 cars down in turn number 1. So we are under caution. Derek Cope was not involved in that spin. I believe I said he was, but it was Greg Sachs that was the 3rd car involved in the spin. And here we have it from our in-car camera following Morgan Shepherd.
There was contact between Mark Martin and Alan Kowicki down in turn 1. As I said, this is a very narrow racetrack. And folks, Mark Martin flirted with disaster, because if he had had a serious problem, he could have finished near last.
Listen. Jason Binoculars in-car camera being carried by Kyle Petty, and that is the way the championships are won and lost.
Exactly.
John?
Well, Bob, the Mark Martin car it looks like the left rear of the bumper is pushed in just a little bit. It didn't seem to be severe, and I didn't see any other marks on the car, but the team did bring him in, and they did put on 4 new tires and send him away, but I don't think any sheet metal is rubbing up against the tires.
So Mark Martin, Alan Kulwicki, and Greg Sachs were the 3 drivers involved in the spin in turn number 1. Big crowd on hand here. As a matter of fact, it's one of the largest Labor Day weekend crowds that we've seen in several years, and they have come out in 90-degree-plus temperatures to watch the Southern 500, which is about to go green once again. Doyle Ford waves the green, and we're under racing conditions once again. Talk about this racetrack and how it can grab you and bite you and send you to the sidelines, and already we have seen 3 cars spinning, but all of them are back in competition.
They were very fortunate, Bob, to be back in competition, because most of the time when you get involved as near up front as they were, it can be very serious, but they were very fortunate here today.
Pretty much single file formation now. There's the number 2 car, Charlie Glotzback, and there are the 3 cars passing Charlie Glotzback in the number 2 that were involved in, or rather 2 of the 3. Ernie Irvin, of course, had a problem early. Davey Allison had a problem early, sending both of those to the pit road before the green flag. Greg Sachs coming now up on Mark Martin and Alan Kulwicki, the 3 drivers involved in the incident.
I'll tell you, they got a tough road to hoe from that far back, but they just need to be patient. They all have good race cars, so if they're patient, they can work their way back up through the field, as Rusty Wallace trying to work his way up through the field.
Battle for 3rd position. Rusty Wallace takes 3rd away from Jeff Bodine, but here comes Jeff back on the inside to retake the position, and up front we're going to notice a great battle for the lead between Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott. Down the main straightaway, completing lap number 9, and Elliott was a half a fender ahead at that time, but Dale Earnhardt goes back in front into turn 1.
But here comes Bill back on the inside. This is classic Darlington racing. Those 2 guys this early coming through turns 3 and 4 side by side was most impressive. Now, is Earnhardt going to beat Bill in? Yes, but he's going to go up.
But Bill backed off too much that time, didn't he, to dive under. He says it's too early in the race to be taking any unnecessary chances.
Oh, looky here now. Harry Gant on the apron of the racetrack. Like I said, you get on the apron, you can't spin.
That's 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and on back. Ricky Rudd, Jeff Bodine, then comes Harry Gant and Brett Bodine.
Let's see, can he gather it back in?
A near loss. He does save it. He does not spin. No yellow. Brett Bodine continues but loses several positions.
Well, I'll tell you, he did a great job of not spinning that car out.
Can you imagine that? He was spun out and he didn't go all the way around.
Yeah. He was totally sideways and got back in the throttle and saved it. Here they come off the 4th corner once again with Earnhardt continuing to set the pace. Two guys have separated themselves a little bit from 3rd place Rusty Wallace. There comes Rusty off the 2nd corner, and then the others, Ricky Rudd and Jeff Bodine and Harry Gant and Morgan Shepherd and Ken Shrader.
I can't get over Brett Bodine. His car was almost completely around, and he saved the car.
And down on the flat part of the racetrack where it's impossible almost, but he did. Great drive. That might be a case. We always say what a great job he did. He might have really done a good job that time. He wasn't just hanging on.
Let's look at it once again. Bodine is the car on the low side of the track.
He goes in under Harry Gant, and they touch just a little, and the back end goes around on the Quaker State Buick off Bodine, and he gets it almost straight before he gets down on the flat part. Look at Kyle Petty going on the flat part of the racetrack and goes by.
Petty had to really take evasive action, and here is how it looked to Kyle.
Now, what a great job. We talk about Brett Bodine. What a great job that Kyle Petty does. And Rusty Wallace is blowing down in turn 1.
A big puff of smoke from Rusty Wallace's car in the first corner. He was running third. This is going to have a serious setback on his chances of repeating for the Winston Cup. He came into this event fourth in the point standings, 270 behind the leader, Mark Martin, but Rusty Wallace is off the pace with just 13 laps completed. Here comes the race to the caution flag once again that Earnhardt will win.
There's oil on the racetrack, so they need to slow down as quickly as they can, and they did.
So we can, at least for the moment, we believe, scratch off Rusty Wallace from those being eligible for the $100,000 bonus from R.J. Reynolds Tobacco. Of course, no driver was eligible for the Winston Million here this year, and Rusty Wallace takes it behind the wall.
Into the garage area, so that does pretty well point up to the fact that it is terminal.
We'd like to remind you about our Sports 1-900 number, and we'd like to remind you that Goodyear will donate $1,000 to the Winston Cup Racing Wives Auxiliary in the name of our pole sitter Dale Earnhardt for today's race. So we're slowed for the second time in just 14 laps.
And Earnhardt chose not to pit. Ned, you know, they talked about the tire and how quicker that the speed goes down on these tires. I felt like after 13, 14 laps, 15 laps we've been now, they would choose to pit, but all of them stays on the racetrack.
Just don't want to give up that track position.
So the track crew is out there putting down some oil dry laid down by Rusty Wallace. We'll be back in a moment. Unical bonus money today amounts to $30,400. That's the bonus that Dale Earnhardt will pick up if he can take the checkered flag here today. Well, one guy who has missed out on the $100,000 bonus from RJR, Rusty Wallace, Jerry is with him.
Yes, indeed, Bob. He will not get the $100,000 bonus, but I think more importantly, he wanted to win the Southern 500 in a bad way. You were coming in a hurry.
Well, it ran good. It was handling well, and I wanted to win this thing real bad, but a guy can't have everything he wants, I don't guess. But the guys did a good job. The motor had a lot of horsepower, and all I can say is that's racing. And I'd like to thank Miller Genuine Draft and all the sponsors for sticking with us this year. And I'm going to try to win some more, but this is a big disappointment today.
A lot of confidence this morning in the garage area. Barry and Maycar and all the crew felt that you had the car that was going to take Earnhardt and Elliott to task.
I think we did. I think we really had something for him. Like I say, the chassis was right. It just lost the motor.
Disappointment here for Rusty Wallace, but there will be another day. He's out of it here in the Southern 500.
Well, Rusty can't feel too bad because he will hold on to fourth place in points, although he finishes 40th. Here is Mark Martin, who is making a pit stop, and Davey Allison. Mark comes down to his assigned pit, down near turn number 1.
Of course, they didn't have as much to lose. They were near at the back of the pack, Bob. We see them putting tires on Davey Allison's car on the right side now. They're jacking up Mark Martin's car, and they will go 4 tires on him.
Welcome back to the Southern 500, where the green flag comes out and racing resumes after our second caution period of the day.
And if you watch that line come down to the start-finish line and take the green flag, you wonder why they don't go 2 or 3 abreast. That is against the rules. You cannot have your car on the inside before you get to the start-finish line.
Morgan Shepard and Ken Shrader involved in a battle for position here. That's for 6th spot. Shepard has it. The Motorcraft Ford, Shrader right behind Kyle Petty on Ken Shrader's tail.
Today, Shrader has made a good move, Bob, up through the field. He started 21st in this field, and after 20 laps, up there in the 7th position.
From the Jason Binoculars in-car camera, riding with Kyle Petty right behind Ken Shrader as they go down the backstretch.
I'm impressed. These cars are running faster than ever. They look like they're 2-3 miles an hour faster than they've ever been in Darlington.
Could be the radial tires, Benny. Of course, they ran the radials here in the spring with great success. Brought them back here in the heat of the Labor Day weekend. But that could help them to run back.
Once again, Shrader's trying to pull up on the back bumper of Morgan Shepard. They're putting a little distance on Kyle, looks like, Bob.
Looks like they're pulling away from him just a little bit. go to the Hines in car, carried by Jimmy Spencer.
He doesn't have a whole lot of traffic in front of him to deal with.
Just ahead of him is Charlie Glotzback at number 2. And there's Jimmy moving around turn number 1. Just out for a leisurely Sunday afternoon drive. Right? Making a pass on Charlie Glotzback at number 2 car. And Harry Gant is making a bid on Jeff Bodine. This is for 4th.
How Petty has caught that group of cars. Bodine might be holding them up a little bit.
It looks that way. Harry Gant trying to get inside. Jeff Bodine coming off second corner. Was not able to do it, but you're right. They're all joined up on the back of Harry Gant.
Once again from Kyle's in-car camera. Morgan Shepherd and Ken Shrader touch, and Shrader goes up into the wall, scraping it.
He's in the wall pretty hard. Yeah, he's slowed very definitely. Dale Jarrett goes by him down on the inside, and Rick Wilson, Dick Trickle, Shrader definitely in trouble now. He has moved down out of the groove. He'll be heading to the pits.
Shrader ran so well here in the spring. He was running well here in the fall, and now he's headed for the pits, and we'll take a look at it.
Okay, tries to go by Morgan Shepherd on the outside, following Harry Gant into that turn. Shepherd might not know that he's out there. His car slides up just a little bit, flips the left front of Shrader's car, and gets Shrader into the wall. Kyle Petty goes by on the inside.
And from another angle, we'll see it again.
Same thing. Morgan thought about getting by Harry Gant, couldn't make it. He had no idea that Shrader was up there. He goes up the hill, Shrader straight in the wall, and there's heavy contact.
Jerry Punch is there in the Ken Shrader pit.
Well, the crew surveying damage on the car. Apparently sheet metal damage on the right front. They have changed the right side tires that will come around to the left side. They are looking at the left side now. Shrader gets the signal to go ahead and move away. Is losing valuable time here to the green flag. A tough break. They were trying to pull some sheet metal away from the right front and also a little bit in the left rear, but he is down and away, but it's lost a lot of ground.
Well, he lost one lap, Jerry, for sure. And if he doesn't get his speed up, he could go 2 laps down as the leaders are coming off of turn 4 and down the front straightaway.
Shrader ran 10th here in the Trans-South 500. Meanwhile, back up front, it's still Dale Earnhardt leading Bill Elliott.
Got to give a call for Bill Elliott. This is one of the better runs he's had this last 2 or 3 months. He did run very well in Michigan in June. Blew up with about 15 laps to go or something, but he's running extremely strong so far.
And I think he's being very patient now, Benny. The Coors Ford is running and handling well for him. He made an attempt or so to pass Earnhardt. Wasn't going to be easy, so he just sat back and just decided to follow. And here's Ken Shrader going behind the wall with the Kodiak Chevrolet.
Boy, that puts 2 of the top contenders in this race behind the wall. Rusty Wallace is already out with a blown engine, and now Ken Shrader goes behind the wall while the crew tries to find out if they can fix that car. And it is a steering problem on the 25 car, so they may be able to get it fixed.
Well, he's been all the steering in the front of the car when he made contact, bent the ball. All this stuff is going to have to be replaced.
Earnhardt, the defending champion of the race. Here is Mark Martin weaving his way through traffic, going to the inside of Greg Sachs. That's the battle for 24th and 25th position. Davey Allison looks inside of Greg Sachs.
But Davey couldn't make the pass. Now he falls back in. He's going to go single file through turns 1 and 2. That's Hut Strickland right behind Davey.
Mark Martin running 24th after a skirmish up in turn number 1 early. Davey Allison goes inside of Craig Sachs and will try to pick up the 25th position, and he does. Davey Allison moves to 25th. Let's go to Jerry, who's in the Ken Shrader garage area.
Actually, he's behind the wall, Bob. They are working the crew now. Richard Broom will change the A-frame and the lower control arm on the right front of the car. Shrader is still sitting in the car hooked up. Kenny, what happened out there?
Morgan just ain't looking where he's going. He's worried about somebody passing him, and I just, I got up alongside, not up beside him, got the front end up there, and he just went up to the wall.
Well, Shrader sitting in the car losing valuable time. They will get the car repaired, but he will lose a lot of time and a lot of points here toward the Winston Cup point race.
Ken Shrader 9th in the Winston Cup point standings, and here is a replay from Kyle Petty's Jason Binoculars in-car camera. Happened right in front of him.
Well, you can see Shrader trying to move up on the outside off Morgan Shepherd. That really is not the place to pass on this racetrack on the outside going into turn 1, but he saw the opening up there, thought he could make it, but didn't work.
Dale Earnhardt continues to lead the Southern 500 with Bill Elliott running in second spot. We'll be back with more of our live coverage right after these messages. Stay with us. 35 laps completed out of 367 that make up the Southern 500, and Dale Earnhardt, who has won the last 5 of 9 races here at Darlington, has the lead this afternoon, followed closely by Bill Elliott. As now Earnhardt moves up on the slower traffic and begins to pass those cars. That's the number 82 machine driven by Mark Stahl. He's closing in on H.B. Bailey. He'll be the next to go a lap down. HB in the red and white car. Now there's Ricky Rudd and Jeff Bodine, and here comes Harry Gant and Kyle Petty, and those two have been going at it for the last few laps. And here is Kyle moving to the inside as we take a look from his in-car camera, and he makes a nice clean pass on Harry Gant.
Boy, that looks so easy.
Yeah, he just got down on the inside, stepped on the gas of that Pontiac, and it moved away.
And that moves him up to 5th position. Still no sponsorship announcement on that number 42 car for 1991. Peak will not be back as the primary sponsor. Gary Nelson says that they're not quite ready to make the announcement.
But they don't seem to be too worried.
No, he said, but if you get thirsty the next few days, I'd like for you to drink some Mellow Yellow. So maybe that's an indication. Let's go to Jerry Punch with a comment on Kyle.
Now that was sneaky, Bob, talking about a soft drink like that. But indeed, Kyle Petty was not feeling well all week long because of that violent impact he took at Bristol, Tennessee last week. He hit the wall up there. He was getting ready to get out of the car when he had burned his right foot. He had a pretty severe second-degree burn in the right heel. It was all blistered up. So yesterday afternoon, just in case they needed help, they put Jimmy Hensley in the car. Jimmy Hensley, the accomplished Busch-Grand National driver, has turned a few laps in the car. He will be standing by in the Kyle Petty pit today in case he's needed as a relief driver.
Talked to Jimmy this morning as we were leaving the hotel, and he is ready to step into that car anytime that Kyle feels that he can't continue. There's Harry Gant, who was passed by him but is holding right with him, and there is Ricky Rudd and Jeff Bodine as they're right ahead of Kyle and Harry.
They're running 3rd and 4th. Rudd running 3rd, Jeff Bodine 4th, Kyle Petty now 5th.
Jeff Bodine is close. Yes, he's closing in on Ricky Rudd. Rudd passed. Look, Jeff Bodine takes a look on the inside, not able to make the pass, but Rudd passed him earlier in the race, and now either Jeff is flying or Ricky's backing up.
Jeff was the fastest car on the racetrack during the final practice yesterday afternoon. That always means something.
And here it comes on the inside of Rudd up at 3 and 4.
He got him.
Yes, he does. Ricky wisely backed off the throttle a little bit.
Moves Jeff Bodine up to 3rd and drops Ricky back to 4th, and not too far behind there in 5th is Kyle.
Oh, spin right on the front straightaway.
H.B. Bailey slams the inside wall right here on the straightaway.
Quite a bit of damage to HB's car on the front end.
He is in his 4th decade of racing here at Darlington, but it's come to a rather disastrous end here this afternoon. He's trying to get the car refired.
I expect we'll see some pit stops this time, fellas.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it because we've been 41 laps.
H.B. Bailey, the number 36 machine, able to drive it away. So lap number 41 brings us our 3rd caution of the day. And when the pace car comes out and bunches up the field and the green flag waves at the end of pit road, it'll be open and we will see some pit stops. And here at Darlington, there are pits on the front and the back. Here's the tail end of the crash. You can see HB sliding across the start-finish line.
And bams the front end of his Pontiac into the wall.
He'd already hit the outside retaining wall. Most of the damage was done against the outside retaining wall.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt in for a pit stop, and Jerry Punch is in his pit.
Everyone will take advantage of a pit stop, or should really. Here's Earnhardt making away down pit road. Elliott, Bodine, Rudd, and Dale Earnhart's Goodrich crew going to work on the right side of this Chevrolet. It will change all 4 tires. Remember, there's the radial tires here, which don't really wear that bad. Just get up in a hurry. Bill Elliott's crew now, servicing his car on the bottom of his screen. Right side of the Elliott car. They move around to the left side. That's Mike Beam and the Coors crew. Already putting left side tires on the Goodrich Chevrolet for Dale Earnhardt. Left side tires, they have trouble now with the jack on the Earnhardt car. They cannot get the car off the ground. They keep pumping. Elliott is down and away, and they are just now getting the left rear tire on the Earnhardt car. He is down and out. Bodine is away. Here goes Harry Gant, Kyle Petty. They all move back to turn 1.
Several getting out ahead of Dale Earnhardt. He'll fall in behind Ricky Rudd there and ahead of Harry Gant and Morgan Shepherd.
Boy, that's a tough break. I tell you, pit stops are getting more and more important because the competition's so close in Winston Cup racing. Track position, as Dan mentioned a moment ago, very, very important.
And look at the activity on the back pit. Of course, it starts a lot later than it does here on the front pit. There's Terry Labonte getting service on his car. Butch Miller in the Banquet Foods Planters Peanut car getting service on his machine.
Everybody putting on 4 tires. There comes a car out of there. That was Michael Waltrip came out of the pack. And here's Dave Marcus, who had taken the lead in the Big Apple Market Chevrolet. So Dave picked up 5 bonus points as a result of being in the lead. So now he comes into the pits.
Dave Marcus in the number 71 car. He's still nursing the broken leg that he suffered in the practice crash prior to the Pepsi 400. Under caution once again at Darlington Raceway in South Carolina. Winston Cup replays are brought to you by Purolator, the world's largest filter company. The Southern 500, 1989, and there was $1 million at stake for Darrell Waltrip, who had already won Daytona and Charlotte. He began from 9th starting position and drove a conservative race early. Meanwhile, the two who were battling for the Winston Cup were also battling for the race lead. It took Dale Earnhardt 54 laps to move from his 10th starting position to take the lead from Rusty Wallace. Waltrip, despite his conservative attitude, bumped the wall and finished 22nd. Wallace and Earnhardt, meanwhile, continued their fight for the lead. With just 62 laps to go, Earnhardt takes the lead for the final time and goes on to take his 3rd victory of the 1989 season. The win was especially important for Earnhardt, whose father Ralph had been inducted into the Hall of Fame earlier in the weekend. That was a year ago, and here comes the field down to retake the green flag, and on lap number 46, we're back to racing conditions with Jeff Bodine at the front of the field and Bill Elliott running second, and Dale Earnhardt in the black number 3 looking for a way through the field. He moves to the inside of Ricky Rudd and picks up a position, and now looks to Mark Martin.
Watch him go by these cars, pulls alongside Mark Martin, and takes that spot away.
He said on his radio, we understand that that'll just give him a little extra incentive.
It's Bodine, Elliott, and Kyle Petty up front, and then Earnhardt, and then Rudd, then Martin, and then Rudd. Boy, Bill Elliott all over the Budweiser Ford of Jeff Bodine as they head down the backstretch. Going inside Kyle Petty's car once again from the Jason Binoculars in-car camera. Kyle looking to the inside of Elliott. Will not make a bid for second. Here comes Dale Earnhardt closing in on everybody. Hasn't taken Earnhardt long to move up on the lead group.
See what, if he passes these 4 cars and moves on, well, it could be bad news for the rest of the competition. Elliott
moving to the inside of Jeff Bodine, and will try to take the lead away from Jeff. 2 Fords going at it. They touch, but Bill Elliott comes away with the lead. And here comes Kyle Petty down to the inside of Jeff Bodine.
Did not make it. Had to back off, let go down, have the preferred line. Turn 3, just don't go in there two abreast.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt now going for third position as he passes Kyle.
2 wheels on the apron as he went by.
Earnhardt's car right up against the wall in the first and second turns.
That's the way he likes to drive this.
That concerns me, though. I think that the car going that high this early after a stop, I don't think he likes the car the way it is right now.
Side cam on Kyle Petty's car. Look how close they'll come to that wall.
Making a pass on Morgan Shepherd. As he does that, Lake Speed went into the pits and unscheduled pit stop on the backstretch. He pressed on Oldsmobile. Ernie Irvin makes that pass on Morgan Shepherd pretty easily.
Irvin with a problem at the very beginning of the race before the green flag came out. He was headed for pit road.
There's Dick Trickle, the race run going for Dick today. This is Cale Yarbrough's hometown. Kind of like last week was Ernie Irvin's car on his hometown. And that's the scene that Dick Trickle sees when he looks up in the mirror.
Look at Mark Martin. He's dropped down on the inside of the track, and Ernie Irvin and others pass, and Mark Martin's got a problem. It appeared there for a second.
Right now, he doesn't want to race with anyone.
Yep, I think that's it.
So are you telling me that perhaps Mark Martin has $1 million in mind in the championship more than taking chances of winning races right now?
I think he's thinking about a trophy more than $1 million.
You think so?
Yes.
This is the Phillips 66 bumper can. Well, there is a lot of prestige that goes with winning the Winston Cup. Certainly Mark Martin loves to win it.
But you don't want to take chances, fellas, this early in this race. You've got to have a lot of patience here, and I'm sure that Mark Martin has drilled that into his own head. So has Jack Rouse drilled it into his head. You've got to have patience.
Closing in on Dick Trickle is Ernie Irvin. Good shot of that car. Now he'll go to the inside in the second corner. Ernie Irvin will pick up another position as he passes Dick Trickle on the backstretch.
And Earnhardt just hasn't driven away from Kyle Petty. I don't think that Earnhardt's car is exactly the way he wants it now. I said that a moment ago, and those two Fords are pulling a little bit further away than Earnhardt would want them to.
Again, you can see how high on the track Earnhardt is there in the first and second corners.
So Harry Gatt's car coming into the picture back there, the green Oldsmobile. This is one again of better racetracks.
There comes Harry, the green car, behind the blue car is Kyle Petty, the black Dale Earnhardt.
Gant, the winner 3 times here on this racetrack. The Southern 584, Trans-South 583 and 89 as you take a look at the field after 50 laps. Field passing Mark Stahl, the number 82.
Look how high Earnhardt is going right up against that outside of the
Let's go to Jerry Punch with an update on Dale Earnhardt.
Well, apparently, Benny, you're exactly right. Earnhardt's car is pushing pretty badly. He has having trouble turning the car in the corner, but Childers says they didn't want to loosen the car up too much early on because a loose race car can be a severe liability here. Said the car was pushing when it took the green flag, but it went away in a hurry, so maybe with another 15 or 18 laps of green flag racing, it'll loosen itself up and the push will go away. Let's check up in the Mark Martin pit where John Kernan is standing by.
Well, Jerry, we saw Mark move over and let some cars go by him a while ago on that last pit stop to get back up in the front of the pack. Martin's team elected to take on only 2 tires, and so the car is just a little bit loose. And you see 94 Sterling Marlin just passing by Morgan Shepherd. So it's a problem right now that they're going to have to ride out. They're just a little bit loose on the Mark Martin car. And also Jeff Bodine, when Bill Elliott made the pass, Bill Elliott came up behind him. And when he did, it upset the air on the spoiler. And when the car gets behind Bodine, they've noticed that it gets real loose in the corners. So that's a problem they may have to correct on the next pit stop.
Mark Martin has fallen all the way back to 11th position. There's Morgan Shepherd just ahead of him in 10th. The lead continues to be held by Bill Elliott, who leads Jeff Bodine in the Heinz Southern 500. We're live from Darlington Raceway. We'll be right back. Back at Darlington International Raceway, Bob Jenkins, Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, John Kernan, and Dr. Jerry Punch as Morgan Shepherd is on the move. He has now moved up to the 8th position, and Ricky Rudd is the driver he just passed, and he's telling his crew on the radio that he's not comfortable with the right rear. He knows it's not flat, he's just not comfortable with it.
So Morgan Shepherd, remember in the spring how strong that Motorcraft Ford was? It hasn't lost a great deal since then. The car extremely good this afternoon, and here comes Mark Martin back. You know, Ned, that things just keep going. The cars they're fast, they're slow.
The racetrack changes, doesn't it?
It does change dramatically, but these guys are seeing that.
Back up front, meanwhile, it is still Bill Elliott and then Jeff Bodine.
And there's Earnhardt. It looks like the racetrack's coming back to Dale Earnhardt, because when we went to commercial, he was 10, 15 car lengths back. He's just one car length behind Jeff Bodine now.
And they were talking about his car pushing a little bit. Well, after he runs a while, gets the tires heated up, sometimes a tight car, that'll work to his advantage, and apparently the track is coming to him.
Now, folks, when you hear these guys talking about this racetrack, you're hearing it from experts, because these guys have competed on this racetrack and they have won on it. Ned Jarrett was the winner of the Southern 500 back in 1965. Benny Parsons' best finish of the Southern 500 was 4th back in 1980, but Benny won the Trans-South 500 on this speedway in 1978. Bill Elliott continues to hold off the others. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Mike Beebe.
Remember early in the year when Kyle Petty was so dominant at Rockingham, the reason being that Gary Nelson said they went to a short track in Martinsville and tested and found out something about the radial tire. Mike, you guys tested earlier in the week at Richmond and said you learned a whole lot that helped you here today.
Well, we just tried different things on our other car, and we thought maybe it would help us here. I was here the other day, and Bill said, maybe we ought to just try our Richmond setup, because we went way off the wall up there, and it seemed to help the car, because we've been hurting on these radials anyway. So I just threw some stuff under it, and it ran well. We come up and did all the boys in the shop. They got this car ready while I was in Richmond, and we learned a whole lot, and hopefully we win a race for our fans. We appreciate them standing behind us. I know we hadn't won a race, but we're trying hard anyway.
Indeed they are, guys. Can you believe it? A short track setup working here on radial tires at Darlington.
Yeah, I think that's possible, Gary, because this track has a lot of short track characteristics. As Benny mentioned at the top of the show, turns 1 and 2 are very short and tight there, the pointed end of an egg. When you look at this track from an aerial view, it is egg-shaped. And getting traction through the corners here, you're in the corners a lot, and so you need a short track type of a setup, so I can believe that would work.
Elliott continues to show the way over Bodine and Earnhardt, but look at Ernie Irvan come up through the traffic. He passes Harry Gant and moves into 5th.
Someone told me just a moment ago that Ernie Irvan was about 3/10 quicker than Bill Elliott, so he could be the fastest car on the racetrack.
Here is the serial on Ernie Irvan. Look, he started in 11th position, was all the way back to 26th because of his early problem by the 15th lap, but he moved up steadily to 19th to 9th, and now is in 5th position at the end of 67 laps. He looked good in the Busch Grand National race yesterday before problems.
He attacks this racetrack.
There's Harry Gant going extremely high. Remember, was it last year that Harry Gant hit the wall 3 or 4 times down in turn 1? Looks like he's not afraid of it anyway.
The most recent winner in Winston Cup competition, Ernie Irvan, pursuing Bill Elliott. back to 6th, and we go to John Kernan for a report.
Well, you're talking about Harry getting close to that wall. This morning they were shaving on the right side of the car inside the front fender. And the reason they were doing that is Andy Petrie said they knew Harry was going to hit the wall about 6 or 7 times. And they wanted to make sure he had plenty of clearance from the sheet metal to the tires. So they thinned it out probably, I don't know, maybe just a couple of millimeters, but enough that they hoped would make the difference.
I don't know whether that's an expression of confidence in your driver or not. Harry is tough on this racetrack. He is especially tough on the Busch Grand National circuit here, but he is also tough in Winston Cup competition. So 70 laps have gone by. Just a little less than 300 to go in the Southern 500. We'll be right back.
This track back is brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil.
You're all familiar with the 11-gallon gas cans used to fuel the Winston Cup cars on pit road. These two cans may look the same, but they're quite different. This is last year's can, and this is this year's can. Now, what normally happens, a car would come down pit road and the crew would change tires, and it would take longer to fuel the car than it would to change the tires. Therefore, the car, the driver, and the gas man are sitting still on pit road, possibly endangering themselves needlessly. Well, NASCAR allowed this year to change the size of the ventilation tubes. This little tube on the front of the gas can is the ventilation tube. Last year's vent tube was 1 inch in diameter. This year, they've allowed the tube to be 1 1/4 inch in diameter. The larger the tube, the faster the ventilation or release of air, and therefore the faster the fuel goes in, therefore improving safety on pit road.
And on pit road a few minutes ago, our crew cam was on the gas man on Kyle Petty's car.
That's Richard Bostic. Come on, Richard, put the gas in. He's waiting for that other man to come around the wall. The fella carries the tires. Now he's back. He goes up, plugs in the gas can.
Takes a look at the guy changing the left from the rear.
Didn't take long for that first 11 gallons to go in, did it?
And away goes.
That's a great shot.
You know, I think one thing that people don't realize is how heavy those cans are when they're full of gas.
Bob, you should have seen some of the guys in the Busch Grand after the race. If you look at those cans, they staggered around and finally got the gas can up on in the quarterfinal.
Now the leader, Bill Elliott, begins to lap some of the slower traffic, and that's Chad Little in number 19 that goes the lap down. Here comes Jeff Bodine right behind, and Dale Earnhardt.
Slow traffic at this racetrack can be a killer. If you catch him at the wrong spot, you can lose 2 seconds a lap. Earnhardt looks like he wants to look inside, but no, he just can't get off 4 well enough right now to make that one. Oh, but Bodine's looking on the inside of Bill. Nope, not this time.
Just a look.
Just let him know he was back there. He wanted to disappear in that mirror for just a moment.
There goes Earnhardt up against the wall again.
Both those two cars in front of him running very high. Dale's still trying to get that groove worked out on the bottom of the 3 and 4.
The top 10 in points coming into this event and where they're running right now. The leader in points, Martin is 10th, Earnhardt is 3rd, Bodine 2nd, Rusty Wallace is out with a blown engine, and Bill Elliott, the 5th place in the Winston Cup points, is the leader. Now take a look at the second 5 in points, 6 through 10, and where they're running. Ricky Rudd in 11th, and a car, 2 cars in the wall in turn number 2.
That's Shrader and Morgan Shepherd, looks like.
Ken Shrader had just rejoined the race after spending several laps in the pits trying to correct the steering, and you'll recall that it was with Morgan Shepherd that he had a little incident earlier in the race.
Yeah, that's what sent him into the garage area for those repairs. Looks like Shepherd is moving away now. Schrader's car, quite a bit of damage to it down on the inside.
I thought Morgan was going to come down and say something to Kenny, but he didn't. Both cars are moving.
I don't think he can fix that car. That car is heavily damaged.
Certainly they can't get it to where he would run competitively again. Of course, he's already a lot of laps down. You can see a lot of smoke coming from the Motorcraft Ford for Morgan Shepherd. It's perhaps tires, fenders rubbing against tires, And the damage is more, I believe, on the right side. No, the left front there. That's where that smoke is coming from.
Meanwhile, here come the leaders. It's Elliott and Bodine and Earnhardt and Kyle Petty and all the others coming down pit road. Let's go to Jerry.
Bill Elliott brings his Coors forward to a halt. Mike Beam, Chuck Hill, Ernie, and Dan Elliott, the rest of the Coors crew, going to work on the car. They will change all 4 tires. They were concerned about how strong Jeff Bodine was running earlier. They want to make sure they get the stagger exactly right. Let's check in this Bodine pit with John Kernan.
The crew goes to work. Right side's already on. Left side lugs off tires. The jack going under. Tires coming off, going on. They got the last pit stop in under 21 seconds. And it looks like they got another one going now. Jeff Bodine is down and away. Ricky Rudd is in, and this is a big break for the Levi Garrett Chevrolet. Rudd thought that he either had loose lug nuts or an equalized right front tire and a vibration. And they told him to hang on now. Problem, the lug nut drops off and they get it on quickly. And big break for Rudd. He stays on the lead lap, but he is back in the back. Still on the lead lap.
Rudd and the others going back out onto the racetrack after service, but Morgan Shepherd remains on pit road as the Bud Moore crew tries to get the sheet metal pulled away from the left side tires.
Well, there's some damage on the right side as well, Bob. They have pulled that away, but the major damage was to the left front.
Morgan Shepherd involved in a second incident with Ken Shrader just a few moments ago on a hot Sunday afternoon Labor Day weekend. We're in Darlington, South Carolina. ESPN Speed World on Darlington, South Carolina's track, the Heinz Southern 500 in progress. We are now 82 laps into this event and under caution for the 4th time this afternoon. And here's the reason.
That's the white car is Ken Shrader. The red and white car is Morgan Shepherd, the 15 car. And that's the second time we've seen these guys together. For the first time, Shrader hit the wall hard. This time looks like both of them made some pretty heavy contact.
But without question, Shrader came out on the short end of that because Morgan Shepherd is going back in competition, whereas Ken Shrader is behind the wall.
25 goes right to wall.
Shrader spent about 15, 20 laps behind the wall repairing the damage from the first instant. Now he's back in the same spot repairing the damage again.
We will be going green this time around.
And I believe Morgan Shepherd stayed in the lead lap. No, we understand that he lost to 1 lap, so he has 1 lap down.
The leader is Jeff Bodine with Elliott second, then Earnhardt, Petty, and Irvin.
Chad Little on the inside of Jeff Bodine. He is a lap down. Hoping to get a lap back.
Field accelerates and takes the green again. Thundering Herd moves into turn number 1.
Tiptoeing gingerly through that turn as they deal with the lap traffic. They have to go 2 abreast.
Pit stop performance on 4 drivers. Jeff Bodine with a really good 34.2 total after a 12.9 for the driver and a 21.3 for the crew. The quickest of the 4. Now, the Dale Earnhardt crew normally performs the fastest service, but we find him at the bottom of those 4 cars listed there.
Normally Earnhardt is the fastest in and out of the pits, but I don't know whether his pit position here today that they chose probably had something to do with that.
Well, normally he's the leader. This time he wasn't the leader, so
that makes a difference.
And Earnhardt has chosen as his pit position the middle space, right in the middle of pit road, whereas most of the time he chooses the pit closest to turn number 1. Elliott trying to take the lead away from Jeff Bodine. Good battle for the lead here.
Boy, there's a log jam of cars coming off of 2 over there. Somebody got a little sideways and they really got jammed up back behind these leaders, but everybody got through it okay.
Earnhardt continues to move in on Bill Elliott. There are your top 5 cars. Here is the log jam that had talked about. Included in this group, late speed Chad Little pulls to the inside of the racetrack and allows the faster cars to pass by and rather Dale Jarrett right there.
And Harry Gant is back there too, and the reason he's back there, he overshot his pits coming in during that caution, had to go back out and come back in the next time around, so that put him at the rear of the pack. He was running 6th when he came in and went out running about, I don't know, somewhere back 20th or farther back.
Here's Harry moving to the inside of Dale Jarrett. They rub coming off the 4th corner.
Harry has position now going in turn 1. Dale will back off, let him go down into the corner.
I hope he's smart enough to do that, and he was. Now look at Terry Labonte moving on the inside of Hut Strickland, car number 12. Hut goes to look wide there. Here's Lake Speed, the Firestone Antifreeze Oldsmobile.
1988 winner of the Trans-South 500 Lake Speed in that yellow number 83. Here comes the yellow 75 of Rick Wilson. And there's Brett Bodine moving the Quaker State Buick around Hut Strickland. And Derek Cope makes it 3 wide here on the main straightaway.
No, he didn't do that.
Here's 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Dale Earnhardt in 3rd, Kyle Petty in 4th, and Ernie Irvin in 5th place.
And here is Rudd moving to the inside and picking up the position. Rob Moroso having a good run. He started 22nd and is now in the top 10.
And we talk about young drivers. Rob Moroso just 21 years old. Long future ahead of him in Winston Cup Star Car racing.
Take a look at those who have dropped out of competition. Remember that Rusty Wallace was the very first driver to fall out of the race with an engine problem. However, because he had enough of a lead over Elliott in the points, Rusty will maintain 3rd in the battle for the Winston, rather 4th in the battle for the Winston Cup. Here's Kyle Petty making a move on Dale Earnhardt, headed for turn number 1. They go in side by side, and Kyle gets the advantage through the corner. Earnhardt battles back on the outside, up high on the wall, and wiggles a little bit coming off the course. Let's see what happens as they go down the backstretch. It's Earnhardt slipping ahead just a little bit.
He had the momentum coming off the turn. Let's see if he slides up. No, Kyle's the person that slides up going into that turn, so he was not able to make a pass.
Now we watch Ernie Irvin. There's Ernie. He picks up the spot, passing Kyle.
And Sterling Marlin joins the action. He says, hey, I want to play with you guys. Up front where all the action is.
3, 4, 5, and 6 right here.
Well, Sterling Marlin started in 23rd position here today, which is the last position that you could be in to pit on the front stretch. And he qualified on Thursday, was back in the pack, didn't have a very good qualifying run. They took the backup car out of their truck, hoping it would run faster. They had a brand new car here for this race, took the backup car out and re-qualified just so they'd have an opportunity to get to pit on the front stretch. And sure enough, it worked for them.
They qualified 23rd, which was the last spot to pit on the front.
And during the qualifying and practice sessions here, we had some cars in the wall. Hut Strickland visited the wall, so did Harry Gant, Bobby Helen, and perhaps the most serious was Greg Sachs, who broke his right foot. But then later went out and qualified for the pole for the Grand National Race. Car spinning in turn number 1.
Like Jimmy Means.
And Chad Little down on the inside has spun.
There is Chad Little. Jimmy Means scrapes along the wall, rides it through the second turn and down the backstretch.
The Alka-Seltzer Pontiac, tough break for Jimmy. He's had some real tough breaks here in recent races, but he's trying to get it on up the straightaway there as far as he can out of harm's way, and it looks like he's going to do that now. He's going to try to pull it down to the inside of the track, get it back to the pits. Of course, he's one of those drivers pitting on the backstretch.
Apparently, Richard Petty, number 43, may have been dropping some fluid on the racetrack that resulted in this incident.
It looked like a little smoke coming from the back of the car as he coasted around, Bob, and I believe he is coasting. So he's going into the back pits for Richard Petty in the STP Pontiac.
The pit lane.
And here is the leader of the race, or Bill Elliott, coming in, and Jerry Punch will report.
Although Bill Elliott only pitted some 14 laps ago on lap 80, he is going to come in and change 4 tires because he has a vibration in the car. They were concerned about possibly an equalized tire. They don't really cut these tires that often, so you don't worry about a tire going down, but a vibration is something you don't want to take a chance on here in Darlington. Now, Dan Elliott's crew changing the left side tires. They've already replaced the right side. Put the lug nuts back in place, top it off with fuel. We'll drop the jack, and Bill Elliott is away.
Elliott was the only one of those running toward the front of the pack that chose to come in on this particular caution. We'll be right back. We are still under caution at Darlington Raceway, where this weekend 2 racing legends were inducted in the National Motorsports Press Association Hall of Fame. One of them was Leroy Yarborough, whose career in Winston Cup competition only spanned 198 starts. Driving for Junior Johnson, he was the very first driver to win Stock Car Racing's Triple Crown at Daytona, Charlotte, and here at Darlington. The other inducted in the Hall of Fame was Ralph Moody, who began his career as a driver, but he gained most of his notoriety as a car owner and builder. Along with John Holman, his cars took David Pearson to 2 Winston Cup championships in 1968 and in 1969. This was a special moment last year for Dale Earnhardt, who won this race, but it was especially special for him because his father, Ralph Earnhardt, was inducted into that National Motorsports Hall of Fame, making him one of the chosen few. And there is Dale Earnhardt, who is in second position. And Ned, you raced with Ralph.
Yes, I did, many, many times, and I'll tell you, he was one tough customer. In fact, I've said a number of times, Bob, that I've never seen 2 people drive more alike than Dale Earnhardt and Ralph Earnhardt. I didn't race against Dale, but I've seen him race many, many times, and they both run as hard as it'll go.
And boy, one of the names that you associate with stock car racing most, at least I do, is Holman Moody, because they built a dynasty in stock car racing.
I tell you what, when it said CP, competition proven by Holman and Moody, that had to be the best in the world.
The track crew is still out there cleaning up the debris caused by a couple of cars getting into the wall. 98 laps have been completed in the Heinz Southern 500, and we'll be right back. We are still under caution at the NASCAR Heinz Southern 500 from Darlington Raceway in South Carolina. Jimmy Means into the wall and Chad Little spinning down in turn number 1. Well, it's Labor Day weekend. We hope you'll have a safe one, whatever you do. And there's a lot of racing coming up here on ESPN tomorrow. We'll have delayed coverage of the IMSA race and the IndyCar race from Vancouver. Try to raise Mark Martin here on the radio. Mark, this is Bob Jenkins up in the ESPN booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, Bob, how you doing today?
Good. How are you doing? You got off to a rather auspicious start. Everything going okay for you now?
Yeah, everything's fine. We're just riding this thing along. We made a few adjustments on the car. We're back up here where we need to be. We'll run along here and pick a few of these guys off if we can and get back up into the thick of things. It's a long way to go yet. We're just biding our time.
Well, you got 1 to go, and we'll keep our eye on you. Have a good race.
Thanks.
Mark Martin is in 10th position as they line up for the restart.
I had a feeling that he was just sort of cooling it, not taking any unnecessary chances because it is a long race.
367 laps makes 500 miles here in Darlington.
Richard Childress standing by with Jerry.
Richard, you've been sort of hustling to try to get the car to handle. What seems to be the problem now?
Well, right now with the track, the condition it is, we're a little too tight off of 4 and just a little loose off of 2 over here. So we're going to adjust the car, try to help them off 4. Looks like where we're getting to be the worst right now.
Is 4 the critical spot, so you'll let him go ahead and continue to be loose off 2?
Yeah, if we can get him through 4 over here. He says he hadn't even used the throttle at all yet through 4, so that's where we got to work on it right now.
Earnhardt's got a problem trying to keep the car down away from the wall in turn 4.
And Jerry, that is a normal problem here on this racetrack. You can't set a car up where it'll go through both turns good all the way around.
That's right. You guys alluded to that at the beginning of the race, but it is almost impossible to set a car up to run good at both ends.
If you get through 4, you're going to be too loose in 1 and 2, and that's why they're going up to the top of the racetrack, to try to catch the back end, to make sure they don't spin out. The crowd is on their feet. Bob, jump up. Let's go.
It is a sun-drenched crowd that cheers the green flag as it waves over Darlington on lap 101, and we're back to action. Make that 102.
Kyle Petty's Jason Binoculars car as he goes by Rick Mast.
Napa Valvoline Pontiac. Rick was running awfully good earlier. He got a lap down for some reason. I think he may have been scheduled a pit stop.
It's Bodine, Earnhardt, and Irvin. And then a little bit of racetrack back to fourth place, Kyle Petty.
Right on the back bumper of Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah, he all but touched him going into turn one.
Jimmy Spencer is driving the Heinz Pontiac, and we pick up his progress now and from his in-car camera. He's running in 27th position. Coming up on Dave Marcus. Now, look at this. Irvin looking for second position. Goes to the inside of Dale Earnhardt.
Ooh, he's going up and Earnhardt's coming down. That's a bad combination.
Yep. Boy, if they touch there, that could be bad news for both of them.
And meanwhile, here comes Kyle Petty to close in on Ernie. Let's go to Jerry, who has a comment on Ernie's run.
No surprise at all that Ernie Irvin is running as well as he is here. This is the same car that he won with last week in Bristol, Tennessee. In fact, it's the exact same engine. Rod Pittman, the engine man, said, hey, we're gonna run this horse into the ground. It's our best race car. Took the engine back, went through the valves, put it in the car. They were being tinted in the garage all week long, and they kept the car covered with canvas all afternoon to work on the car. And I asked Larry McClure, the car owner, I said, why are you keeping the car covered? He said, hey, we want this car to think it's still nighttime, and it's still Bristol, Tennessee.
Spin in turn two. Car sliding to the inside. That's Jimmy Spencer. He bumps the wall. We see it from his in-car camera. He gets the car headed the right direction. I'm not sure this is going to bring out a caution. It will not. Jimmy gets the car rolling down the backstretch, and the field continues at speed.
And we can see he's got some damage to the right front where it's rubbing the tire, so he will have to go in the pit and no caution flag to be able to fix it.
He'd like to win this race for his sponsor, who also is a sponsor of this event, Heinz.
Come on, he's going to stay on the racetrack.
He's moving back up to speed.
Well, he's pitting on the backstretch, fellas, and he's got to go down. He's already past the entrance of the pit, so he has to get to the entrance of the pits before he can get in there. So now he pulls it down on the inside as the leaders are going to go by him on the outside, but he's well out of their way and heading into the pits.
Well, great for Jimmy. There you see his crew waiting on him down in the pits. They're going to have to get that fender off the tire.
On the right front. A little slow getting the car stopped there. Meanwhile, back out on the racetrack, it's Harry Gant, Rick Wilson, Dale Jarrett, and Bobby Hillen that run nose to tail.
They're really mixing it up. Just the last lap around, Harry Gant got around to Rick Wilson. Now Dale Jarrett trying to stick his nose in the nose of the Citgo Ford up under there, but couldn't quite do it that time. And then we see Greg Sachs back there in the Tide Chevrolet, and Derek Coates, Daytona 500 winner. Leonard Rover also.
Bill Elliott as well back there. Yep. Remember, he made a pit stop, had to go completely to the rear of the field, trying to work his way back there.
Let's take a look at what happened to Jimmy Spencer.
Okay, he just gets very high, loses control of the car. You see him looking down at the infield, and then hits the inside retaining wall.
Wasn't a real hard bump for the wall, but it was enough to push that sheet metal back onto the tire, and that's what put Jimmy Spencer in the pits. And here is Jimmy Bodine, followed by Dale Earnhardt and Ernie Irvin, moving off the fourth corner now into turn one.
And that yellow car back behind Kyle Petty is Lake Speed, a name we haven't heard from today.
But he is shown as a lap down.
Oh, he is a lap down. Well, that's too bad for Lake.
Yes, he made an unscheduled pit stop. I think I referenced that earlier in the race. It was a green flag pit stop. He was pitting on the backstretch. Unfortunately, he is a lap down.
21 and 75 running side by side. Wilson on the yellow car and Dale Jarrett on the inside in the white car. That's for the 16th position. And Bobby Hillen falls in behind Rick Wilson. And here comes Bill Elliott, Derek Cope, and Greg Sachs.
Elliott and Cope were able to pass Greg Sachs going down the back straightaway in turn 3. They say that Darrell Walton is going to drive in Darlington and in Richmond next week in the Tide Chevrolet.
That's what he tells us.
Talked to him this week. He says, I'm ready.
He also announced here earlier in the weekend, look at Hillen go to the inside of Rick Wilson. Ooh. Wilson got out of the throttle, and that allowed Bill Elliott to move to the inside and take up another spot. Darrell Waltrip announcing that he has purchased his portion of the Rick Henry team for 1991, and sponsorship will be announced in a few weeks.
And he is the driver.
Yes.
The driver, car owner.
We're glad you could join us on this very warm and humid Sunday afternoon from Darlington, South Carolina, where we're presenting live the 41st annual Heinz Southern 500. With 113 of 360 laps completed, here are the top 5 in the Southern 500. Jeff Bodine, Dale Earnhardt, Ernie Irvan, Kyle Petty, and Sterling Marlin. And on the racetrack, it is still Jeff Bodine leading Dale Earnhardt, Ernie Irvan, and Kyle Petty, with Lake Speed positioned in there, but a lap down. And look at this group of cars. It's Terry Labonte and Dale Jarrett and Bill Elliott.
Yeah, you can see them going into turn 3. They ran up on Mark Stahl going into that turn, and it was really some tight racing. Some jockeying around. Here it is.
Yeah.
Brett Bodine going on the inside of Mark Stahl, and there Dale Jarrett runs up there. He decides that's not the smart thing to do. Gets caught in behind Stahl, then drifts up behind Labonte, and Bill Elliott slows down as well. And they all get by.
Boy, a lot of braking going on there.
I'm telling you, brakes are a very important factor at Darlington. We haven't talked about brakes a lot, but they use a tremendous amount of brakes here going into the first and third corner.
Bumper cam on Dick Trickle's car, looking back on Bodine. Look at this. Whew.
Davey Allison has slowed on the front stretch.
Phil Parsons has crashed here on the straightaway. The car up against the outside wall. He keeps it rolling, and the yellow is out.
Davey Allison was slow as well down the front straightaway.
He sure was.
Now he's back up to speed.
Now, whether it happened right in front of him or if he and Phil got together or whatever the situation, Phil's going on around now.
We see the tires rubbing the fender, smoke coming off Phil's car.
The Diamond Ridge Pontiac. Looks like the smoke's coming from the right front. Looks like it's damage done on the right front of the Pontiac.
This is Phil's first race since Talladega in late July, and now with 118 laps completed, we will anticipate some pit stops.
Yep, they'll be coming in. I don't think these are decoys out there this time, fellas. I think they'll be coming into the pits.
Yep. Everybody dropping to the apron of the racetrack as they come on to pit road. Jeff Bodine and Earnhardt and Irvan and Petty and Marlin and just about everybody else. Let's go to John Kernan.
Tim Brewer and the crew go to work on the right side as we're anticipating a 4-tire change, left side lugs coming off. They are also making a chassis adjustment on the right rear. Dale Earnhardt on the bottom as the race to see who gets out of the pits first is underway. Now to the left side on Earnhardt. Also left side's coming off on the Bodine car. Going on quickly. Earnhardt. Bodine, who will win the race? The pit. Earnhardt is off the jacket. Bodine, by virtue of his pit position, is down and away, and he is Earnhardt out, and also Ernie Irvan is right behind.
There's Bill Elliott going out, and I tell you, it gets narrow when you get going out of pit road, doesn't it?
It's ever get narrow.
Elliott falling in behind Morgan Shepherd. And look at the back pits now as it becomes busy. Terry Labonte and Greg Sachs are back there along with Lake Speed.
Of course, they couldn't come into the pits until after those had already gone into the front.
I don't know whether it looks more like a swarm of bees or a ballet.
I think it's swarm of bees. And the amazing thing is all these people, all they see is their race car. They don't see anything else but front tire, the rear tire, the gas, whatever they're doing, that's all they see.
Still fueling Greg Sachs' Tide Machine number 17 as he's pitted on the backstretch. And the field under caution for the 6th time this afternoon in the Heinz Southern 500. Now Now let's check our Big A Auto Parts pit stop performance on Jeff Bodine. First of all, 11.9 on the driver and 21.5 on the crew, total 33.4. And now let's check on Dale Earnhardt, 13.8 and 22.9, 36.7 total. Bodine again is faster in the pits.
Tell you what, he was coming down pit. It was like he was running 300 miles an hour. I know that's impossible, but that's what he looked like he was running anyway. There we see Morgan Shepherd. He's a lap down on the inside, trying to get that lap back.
Jeff Bodine leads them down. You know, I think another factor in all this pit stop is the fact that Jeff Bodine is pitted right down toward turn number 1. And as we told you earlier, Earnhardt is right in the middle of pit road. The green comes out. Earnhardt looks to the inside of Bodine as they go through the second corner. Can't make the pass. Ernie Irvan hanging in there in third.
So they once again adjusted Dale Earnhardt's car, probably have, but we'll see if he's able to make it stick this time on the bottom of the race, so he get through 3 and 4 any better.
25 cars on the lead lap.
All right, qualifying speed was 158.448 for Dale Earnhardt. What's their top speed down the straightaway?
Probably 175 miles an hour.
Yep, that was going to be my guess without a radar gun to put on. I think about 175. Look at here, Alan Kowicki. Well, that's Morgan Shepherd he was going by. Ricky Rudd tried to go by as well, but couldn't quite do it. Kowicki running in 4th place. Ricky Rudd running 5th. And the lap car of Morgan Shepherd between them, and the lap car of Hutch Strickland, car number 12, right behind Ricky Rudd.
So Alan Kowicki has fought his way back. There goes Ernie on the inside of Dale Earnhardt.
Looking for second place. They come out of the second corner side by side.
But look at Earnhardt go up that backstretch and into turn 3. He had the momentum coming off the turn. He just stepped on the accelerator, got response, and stayed out in front of him.
Jeff Bodine continues to lead. You can see he's got a few car length lead on Earnhardt and Ernie Irvan. Here is Irvan once again, looking to the inside.
Actually, excuse me, Denny, I think you started to say the same thing that I was about to say. He maybe has learned some lessons since he was here in March and had some problems back then, but he's backing off, taking a little bit easier now, but I believe he's got him this time.
Hey, they run in that corner side by side, man. Earnhardt did not back off and give Ernie the line.
No, man.
Ernie, now you remember this back in the spring, don't you, Ernie? Don't you remember this scenario? And here comes Kowicki.
Look at this. Alan Kowicki makes it a 3-car battle for position. He thinks better of it and falls back in line, but Ernie Irvan and Dale Earnhardt continue to go side by side. Now Alan Kowicki moves up and battles alongside Dale.
Earnhardt has really fought his way back because, folks, remember, he spun, what, the 4th or 5th lap, spun and went to the rear of the pack.
We brought out our first caution of the day. Now here comes Earnhardt. Ricky Rudd moves up and joins the fray.
Kowicki passed Earnhardt going in turn 3, and Earnhardt passed him back in the middle of the corner. That's a classic Earnhardt move.
I tell you.
See how low Kowicki is staying? Earnhardt going high. Ricky Rudd went high through turns 1 and 2. Yes, it depends on how your car is set up.
Ernie Irvan moves away from Earnhardt in the others.
Meanwhile, Jeff Bodine's our leader. He is really driven away about half a straightaway.
The 42 car of Kyle Petty lost a few positions on that most recent pit stop, but he is catching up again. He's right behind Lake Speed, and again, Lake is not on the same lap as the leaders. Now Alan Kowicki and Dale Earnhardt go at it again.
Now Kowicki's got to carry it in again. Earnhardt's going to go back under him again. Now watch. Kowicki, now what guy's going to be able to go?
Look at the run! Wow! Oh, they bumped!
How many times have we seen them bump?
Oh, they bumped again. All the way through the corner, they swapped sheets up.
That's helping Kyle Petty as they were racing up there. Of course, he still has a couple of lap cars between him and them, but he was able to catch up as they were racing back there side by side. Now Lake Speed moves over and lets Kyle Petty go.
Boy, let's take a look at that again.
We know that Earnhardt's going to try to go underneath Kowicki, but look, Ricky Rudd right on the white line that separates the apron and the bank of the racetrack, and now they're rubbing sheet metal. And they're once again they broke.
And you know, remember last week when Dale Earnhardt made slight contact with Ricky Rudd and it knocked the front end out of alignment and really cost Dale perhaps the race.
Well, Earnhardt's car is not handling, though. See how high he's going. Hub Strickland was about to get back. Jerry, what's going on down there?
Remember, Neil, we talked to Childress a little bit ago. We talked about the car was pushing really bad on turn 4 and loose over in turn 2. When they decided to try to fix the push in turn 4, when they came in and changed 4 tires, they made an adjustment on the car. And what they've done is made the car so loose all the way around the racetrack, Earnhardt can't drive it. He can't even get in the throttle. When he went back out, took the green flag, he ran a lap of 32:48. Now he's running almost 33.5 seconds. So he's a second slower than he was. That's why he's getting caught by a lot of cars in the past here. The car just so loose, he can't drive.
Yeah, that Strickland is a lap car, number 12, and he was right up alongside Dale there for a moment.
Yeah, and it won't get better, fellas. It will get worse as those tires heat up more.
From inside Kyle Petty's car, that is Hut Strickland, and he wants to get around Hut Strickland so he can pick up perhaps another position and battle alongside of Dale Earnhardt.
Well, Hut was really being given passing flag as he came to the start finish line this time. Now he moves.
Oh, Earnhardt's in the wall! Earnhardt is in the wall. He bumped the wall twice at least in the second corner.
He did make some hard contact on the wall, and you see all these cars trying to dodge her and trying to get by him.
And once again, Kyle Petty was right behind a problem on the racetrack and drove through it.
Well, he's living a lucky charm today,
I guess.
Earnhardt. I don't know how much damage there is, but there has to be some damage to the toe end. You know, if slight contact with Ricky Rudd knocked the toe end out of line, he should have ruined it that time.
I'm telling you, he should be behind the wall as hard as he went into it.
Well, he didn't go quite as high in that turn that time. He purposely didn't do that. He backed off in that so that it wouldn't drift up too high. Let's watch him through 3 and 4 here and see how it reacts there. Rick Mask making an unscheduled pit stop in the Napa Valvoline.
Look, and how about this? Ernie Irvan has closed in on the leader, Jeff Bodine. We got Ford against Chevy here in the Heinz Southern 500. Ernie Irvan in the Kodak Chevy Lumina moves to the inside of Jeff Bodine's Budweiser Ford and tries to take the lead. Ernie has not led this race, but this may be his opportunity. He goes into the lead, coming into the third turn. Now let's see if he can hold it as he goes through the third and fourth turn. Oh, they touch!
No, I knew that was coming. I'm going to have a heart attack with this race.
I tell you, fellas, we see that so often going into that turn 3. The 4 car on the inside, he went in fast. The car is going to drift up because of the angle that he has going into that turn. Jeff Bodine had a good angle going into the turn, so he just drove right under it.
And we'll take a look at the Earnhardt incident.
Well, running there by himself, and he just drifts her up high against the wall. Here comes Mark Martin down on the inside of it.
He had already made the contact.
Yeah, we were a little bit past it.
I saw it from the in-car camera from Kyle Petty, and here it is. Now they're going down the straightaway here. Watch the black car second ahead of Kyle.
It's that Strickland in the red car.
Boom. Gets the car extremely sideways going in the corner, and the fence saved it. If the fence hadn't been there, he'd spun out.
Now look at what happened to Ernie Irvan as he took the lead briefly from Jeff Bodine, but Jeff came right back.
And look, the contact between those two cars. Remember last fall when Ernie tried to get inside Jeff Bodine and spun?
Well, Ernie took the lead, but he didn't get credit.
You see this right? The 2 or 3 cars with Jeff Bodine. I bet you Ernie Irvan's heart has just now started beating. That was scared to death.
And I'm not so sure about what yours is.
It was pretty exciting.
So things settle down here just a little bit.
Oh, another spin over turn 2.
Just as I say that, we do have a car sliding through second corner. Sterling Marlin?
Yes, it is. No contact. It doesn't look like no yellow flag. Noah Ford is looking to see if Sterling can go away.
And he gets it going again. He was running ninth when he lost control there in the second corner and did the spin down to the inside, but Marlin is rolling again. Meanwhile, there's first and second again, Jeff Bodine and Ernie Irvan. Well, that's why they call it the track too tough to tame. Here's the tail end of the Sterling Marlin spin down in 2.
Yeah, there were several cars running in there together. Shepard got through there, Morgan Shepard and Lake Speed, and Sterling just spins down to the inside. Everything okay.
Okay, well, we'll take a breather and allow you to catch your breath and settle things down here in an exciting Heinz Southern 500 from Darlington, South Carolina.
We need to establish that Phil Parsons is still in the race. He went into the pit after we saw that damage that was done to his Pontiac, but they repaired it, so he is in the race. They did not put him out. In fact, he's running 29 right now in the car number 29. He's 1 lap off the pace.
3rd, 4th, and 5th. 3rd place, that yellow, red, or that blue, red, and white car of Alan Kowicki. Then Ricky Rudd in car number 5, and the 42 car that carries our Jason Binoculars in-car camera driven by Kyle Petty.
By the way, did you tell the folks that Ricky Rudd, that yellow and white car is going to be the Tide machine next year?
Yeah, that's right. The tobacco companies, Kodiak and Levi Garrett, are going to combine their sponsorship on one car, and the Tide sponsorship that has been on the Darrell Waltrip car for the past few years will go to the number 5 machine.
There he is.
Okay, there's 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th right there. 1st and 2nd on the left. That's Jeff Bodine and Ernie Urban. And then coming up in 3rd and 4th, Alan Kowicki and Ricky Rudd. 5th place is the 42 car by Kyle Petty, the Pete Pontiac.
There's Harry again, back in 6th, worked his way back after missing his pits, a disastrous pit stop a couple of pits ago.
3-time winner here at Darlington, Harry Gant, who's running in 6th position. Now the lap car there is Rick Mast, and then comes 7th place car, Mark Martin.
He fought his way back to an early spin.
Current Winston Cup points leader.
There's Hutch Strickland, the lap down. And here comes Dale Earnhardt. Remember, he brushed the wall just about 15 laps ago. And Ernie Irvin is trying on the inside of Bodine coming off the 2nd corner. Now, he's done this before now, folks.
Yeah, he'll get him going into turn 3, but will he slide up and Bodine go back under him? He might have slowed down enough that time. Now, here comes Jeff. Live right up there, and here comes Bodine again. Nothing to do about it.
And it was easier that time.
Yeah, it was.
Ernie says, I hate it when he does that.
Urban still at the level lap. The boys come close. We'll show you the top 30 at the end of 145 laps in our Winston Cup race. Ernie staying right there with him, positioning his nose on the inside of Bodine once again.
We'll try this again now.
He says, I'm going to slow down a little bit more going in this time. I'm not going to slide up. But the fact is that the angle that he's going in at is not good. He can't help but slide up. And there he goes again. Here comes Bodine right back one more time.
Just like clockwork. Happens every lap.
And meanwhile, Jeff said, I love it when the plan comes together. Okay, Aaron, it's your turn to pass him off 2 again. Get under him there. Come on.
Well, meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt is going to be challenged by Bill Elliott here in just a moment. Continue to watch this battle for the lead. They just bumped each other coming off the 2nd corner. And those are the cars that are out of the race. Wallace, Bailey, Duffy. H.B. Bailey crashed. Rusty Wallace dropped down early with a blown engine. Shrader was involved in the crash. So was Jimmy Means and Chad Little.
Richard Petty apparently blew an engine, and Mark Stahl out of the race.
Now, how about this? It's Lake Speed who passed Dale Earnhardt, and now here comes Bill Elliott. And he is there on the same line. So Bill moves into 8th position. Certainly not a good sign, though, when lap traffic, as Lake Speed is, was able to pass Dale Earnhardt. Here's Urban and Bodine still going at it.
Meanwhile, nothing's changed back at the front.
Well, but the next going to change in the top 5. Kyle Petty has moved into 4th now around Ricky Rudd.
Ernie Irvin.
Oh, again. Boy, that could have been disastrous right there.
And Irvin now passes at a different point in the racetrack. Maybe he's going to be able to hold the lead here. I don't know.
No, he's not up there.
Forget it.
Well, wait a minute. Now, hold on.
No.
Hold on, guys.
No.
But look, coming into the picture, fellas, Kyle Petty and Alan Kowicki. Kowicki, while they were doing all that jockeying around, Kowicki has come up there. Now he's going to make a pass for second.
Kowicki strong. Look at how he came on to Ernie Irvin, and he runs side by side with Ernie to second. It's a little loose.
But he gets the car sideways, and your Ernie goes, and here comes Kyle Petty. I can't keep a straight ball play.
Maybe we just better sit here and watch and let the people watch. In the side cam on Kyle's car. Now Kyle moves alongside of Alan Kowicki and picks up the spot.
Yeah, Kyle's car is handling well, especially in turns 3 and 4. That's where he made that pass.
You know, if it was by tires, we would say that they need to cool the tires, need to back off, just run a couple laps to cool the tires. But I don't know how the regular reacts to slowing down and not using the sliding so much.
And Ben, turn 3. I believe that's Jack Pennington in 47, sliding to the apron of the racetrack.
Now insurance automobile is spun.
It's well off the racing surface. It's down on the bottom side of the track. I'm not sure it's going to cause a caution. No evidence yet as the leaders come by. And Irvin, again, was within a half a car length of taking the lead. He passes Jeff Bodine, and now the yellow comes out.
Yeah, they were hoping these guys, even though now he gets the Kanoa insurance car going, Jack Pennington, but these fellows up front were hoping the caution would come out because those tires are getting very worn and they were slipping and sliding all over the racetrack. They want to come in and get some new rubber.
Ernie Irvin, I believe, is going to be the leader of this lap.
Yeah, he's racing back to the flag, so he's going to get those 5 bonus points. Fine. We've had the lead a number of times, but this will be the first time that he had it across the start-finish line, I believe.
There it is. Let's replay the incident up in turn 3. There's Pennington on the left side of your screen.
Car just goes high. Back end goes around. Davey Allison right behind him. There's Rob Moroso. Had to hit the brakes.
Phil Parsons.
Oh, you're right.
Spun out.
Yeah, Phil Parsons, not Rob Moroso.
Kyle Petty reported that he had a flat tire, so if that is the case, this is going to be a big break for him.
Sure will. That car wasn't running like it had a flat tire. He was right in the thick of that battle for the front.
Pace car picks up the field, and in just a moment the pits will be opened, and we'll see a lot of activity in front of us here. Look at the guys standing out on pit road, signaling their drivers where to stop.
Now see, Jeff Bodine gets a tough break this time because he has to follow the 4 car down pit road. He can't go flying down. And you see the 4 car is going to stop. Hold Jeff behind him, hold him behind him, hold him. Now he gets out of the way.
Let's go to John Kernan in Irvin's pit.
Well, I'm in Jeff Bodine's pit. Jeff comes to a stop. Jeff on the bottom, Irvin on the top. Right side tires coming off of the Bodine car. Right side's going on. It will be a 4-tire change. Left side lugs already off. Irvin still. Kyle Petty. And also you can see where the bump where Ernie is. Kyle has now pitted. And let's look at Jerry Punch.
Well, indeed, a break for Kyle Petty. He's gotten 4 tires. This is the caution flag came out. Kyle radioed to Gary Nelson and said he thinks he has a tire going down. So a big break for Kyle Petty as it seems to be able to get him in and pit, changing all 4 tires into the yellow flag.
Meanwhile, the activity just beginning in the back pitch. You can see the disadvantage that those pitting on the backstretch have.
They're just now starting to make their pit stop, and we'll see. Look at all the cars coming out of the front pits. Now these cars will have to start behind all of those automobiles, and there's no way in the world they can get in.
Up in Terry Labonte, the front car there on the backstretch, we're seeing the Skull Oldsmobile. He has been running good, and passed a lot of race cars, but he's been playing catch-up all day.
7th caution period of the afternoon is over Darlington Raceway in the Heinz Southern 500. We're glad you can join us. We'll be back right after this. Bob Jenkins, Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, John Kernan, and Dr. Jerry Punch back at Darlington Raceway for resumption of the Heinz Southern 500. The green flag is out once again on lap 158, and the race resumes. This most recent caution from a spin down in turn number 4 by Jack Pennington. It was a big break for Kyle Petty. Jerry, what was the story on that?
Well, I'm standing with Richard Childers. Let's ask him. Richard, how much damage did the car have?
Well, it knocked the toe in off on the front, so on the long caution, we're going to try to fix it.
They did not have time to fix the toe in on the Goodrich car here during that caution flag. And, of course, a big break for Kyle Petty. Remember, he had a tire going down. This being past Malicki, and Gary Nelson grabbed him and said, hey, Gary, we had a tire going down. Can you believe it? Well, that's the time the yellow flag comes out, so a good break for the Peak team.
It was kind of a, can you believe it? We got a tire going down, and then the yellow came out and said, can you believe it?
No, I can never believe it. Those breaks never happen to me. When I needed the caution flag really bad, I called it.
Irvin, once again, making a bid on Jeff Bodine, and Mark Martin is right behind this duo, running with Morgan Shepherd, who is not on the lead lap. So Mark Martin is in third.
Martin trying to get by Morgan Shepherd. He's on the inside. I would be surprised if Morgan does that before he does.
And there's Kyle Petty in the blue and number 42, and he's fourth.
You see a little damage to the lower part of the left bumper on Mark Martin's car. I don't think that's hurting the car at all, but
a lot of traffic behind Martin and Petty. Gary Gant, Lake Speed.
You saw Noah Ford violently waving the move over flag to tell those guys, Lake Speed, Morgan Shepherd, those guys, if those folks are outrun you, please be considerate. That's the key. If they're outrunning you. They can't. Obviously, you should get it.
There you can see that damage on right on the Valvoline side on the
Ernie Irvin leads, Jeff Bodine and Mark Martin. Ricky Rudd, Brett Bodine, and Bill Elliott.
Well, Alan Kowicki lost on that round of pit stops, fellas, because he was running third before the caution, and he's back now running in seventh position. I think his car's a little bit tight. It takes a little while for it to start coming in. On the long green flag runs, he gets to going good, but the car looks like it might be pushing just a little bit.
Bill Elliott, remember, he led the race earlier, but made a pit stop on the caution flag because he felt like he had a 5 race reception. He had to struggle his way back in that Coors Ford to the front.
Elliott's
9 and running 9.
Yep, running 9.
He's gradually getting back up there.
Applying the pressure to Brett Bodine, the Quaker State Buick.
Right on the back bumper.
While Brett Bodine's car owner attends many Winston Cup races, he is not in attendance here today because Kenny Bernstein, of course, is involved in the biggest race of his year, the U.S. Nationals in Indianapolis. Dick Trickle and Dale Earnhardt, and the bumper cam on Trickle's car.
So where is Earnhardt? Well, there he is on the outside. As Bill Elliott moves around Brett Bodine just in front of those two cars, Earnhardt moves around Trickle on the outside.
Boy, that's a good gutsy move on Earnhardt's part to do that.
8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th have changed positions here. Now there is Bill, who is now 8th, and then Brett Bodine, who is 9th, then Earnhardt and Trickle. Next time around, we will complete lap 167. We'll have 200 to go. Now here are the 6 through 10 point standings, and you can see that it's a real tight battle, much closer than the top 5. And now we show you where those guys are running. Morgan Shepherd is really getting hurt because he was involved in, there was 2 incidents with Ken Shrader, who's running 25th. Ricky Rudd is okay. Kyle Petty is not bad. Ken Shrader is out of the race, and Ernie Irvin is really the one who stands to pick up a lot of ground if he can continue to run at the top of the field. there he is on the left side of your screen, leading Jeff Bodine and Mark Martin and Kyle Petty.
There's a picture from inside Kyle Petty's Jason Binoculars today, sponsoring the in-car.
Now we're going to go to Dick Trickle's bumper cam and look back on the battle. Rob Moroso is back there. Gary Cope and Dale Jarrett.
And Jarrett just got around Cope the last lap as they came through turns 3 and
4. 12th, 13th, and 14th. There's the 21 of Dale Jarrett.
And 10-car Derek Cope, remember, has a chance to pick up $100,000. He, Earnhardt, and Rusty Wallace were the 3 guys that had a shot.
Maybe we haven't explained that. Ooh,
oh!
Cope goes high, clips the wall.
Mike, why did you do that to Derek Cope? Put the camera on him and look what happened.
That certainly doesn't help his chances of winning $100,000. Maybe we haven't explained that as much as we should have. Of course, the Winston Million is to any driver who can win 3 of the 4 Crown Jewel races, Marjay Reynolds Tobacco, and because we have had 3 different winners in those 3 races, they are the ones who can pick up $100,000 by winning 2.
Those races are the Daytona 500, the Winston 500 at Talladega, the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte, and of course this race.
And here's how Derek Cope visited the first turn concrete.
When the corner, it just simply could not turn the car because if he had it, it would have spun out. He just had to go up and let it brush the wall. You've heard of the Darlington stripe, folks? Yep. That's it.
He got it.
And on this next lap, he got, ooh, did he get sideways?
Wow, did he ever get sideways?
But he's still out there going. Bobby Hillin in the Snickers Buick right behind him as they move around Charlie Wattsback driving the DK Ulrich entry.
Doesn't look like he slowed down that much.
No, didn't appear to affect him all that much, but the car once again drifts high in the 3rd and 4th turns, and there is the leader. It is Ernie Irvan from Modesto, California, the most recent Winston Cup winner, leading behind Southern 500. We'll be back right after this. Ernie Irvan continues to lead the Heinz Southern 500 at Darlington Raceway in South Carolina. Leading by a few car lengths, Jeff Bodine in number 11. Now we saw the number 10 car of Derek Cope having some problems out there. He bumped the wall down in the first turn and he got sideways in corner number 2. Let's get out to Jerry, who's with Buddy Parent.
Oh, lots of gain or loose today, buddy. Your driver, Derek Cope, slowing down a little bit. What's the problem?
You know, we touched the wall up in 1 and 2. He was following Earnhardt a while ago. We got out of the pits right behind Earnhardt, and Earnhardt went up there and touched the wall. So evidently he wanted to try it out too, see if it made the car run a little better. Now it's really hot down here in Darlington today, and the track's slick. The tires are working great. It's a real consistent race tire, but it's just the weather's so hot today, and the Pure Later car is doing a good job. Derek's real cool in the car. We're giving him plenty of drinks, water, and Gatorade, and all that. And hopefully we'll come out here with a good finish.
Derek Cope, who scraped the wall just a little bit ago, and had to back off a little bit to be concerned about possibly rubbing a tire. He'll keep an eye on it, but he's got $100,000 up for grabs. He can hang on and possibly win this thing.
And that's another team that made an announcement here at Darlington this weekend concerning 1991. They're back with Pure Later, in fact, for the next 3 years. So we're very, very glad to see that. Now, lap ago, the number 42 car of Kyle Petty got around Mark Martin. Here's how it happened on the main straightaway.
Well, Mark was trying to move down to the inside. It looked like it just give him room to go.
He was waving to Kyle, saying, go high and go right around.
Mark Martin does not want to race with a living soul today. This is Darlington. We're not at Daytona or Charlotte or anything. We're in Darlington.
And they've read all those reports that you don't race the cars, you race the racetrack.
And that's what he's doing.
Yep.
He's racing the racetrack. He wants to be here at the end. Now, if that was 5 laps to go, he would have raced it. But at this point in time, it doesn't make any sense for the Winston Cup point leader. And he'll probably do the same thing when Harry Gant pulls up on his back bumper. He'll just say, hey, Harry, go ahead.
So Mark Martin goes back to 4th now. There's Harry Gant in the 5th position. And You know, I asked you guys your opinion earlier about whether or not Mark Martin is racing at this point in the season for the race win, or if he was thinking more about the Winston Cup. Well, we asked Mark about that.
Winning each individual race, whatever event we're at, that's the only one to us there is in the world, you know. Put everything toward that.
Yeah, well, okay.
Well, see, now, look, he just said, go ahead, Harry, have a nice day. But he's in the perfect position. He's following good race cars. Harry Gant, the 42, Kyle Petty. And there's no one behind pressure. He can just ride around and get all those valuable points. Hey, it pays $1 million. What you do for $1 million? And I don't even answer that, Bob.
Let's see. What would I do with $1 million? I'd buy out your contract.
I'd be in trouble with it.
Here's Kulwicki and Bill Elliott. They're racing for the 6th spot. Both these Fords are running well. Kulwicki, I'm very impressed with. Now here comes Earnhardt and Rudd right behind them. A couple of Chevys.
And both those Chevrolets going extremely high. The Ford's running a little bit lower on the racetrack down in 1 and 2.
Leaders into this race, but we have had an incredible number of position changes here with just a little less than 200 laps to go already.
It's sort of ironic that we got those two Fords, these two that we're seeing here, Alan Kulwicki and Bill Elliott running together, and then right behind them are the two Chevrolets, Earnhardt and Rudd. I think it's just ironic that they're together. I don't think it's planned that way at all. Because you don't hook up with a partner here and draft. Now, drafting might come into play a little bit down the straightaways as Ernie Irvin moves around to car number 41. We understand that Chad Little is in that car now. Larry Pearson is out of that car, and Chad Little relief driving for Larry Pearson.
And another relief driver on the track right now is J.D. McDuffie, who has gotten in the number 2 car, started by Charlie Glotzback. J.D. was bumped from the starting field, couldn't make this show in his number 70, but now he is in the race as a relief driver for Charlie Glotzback. Coming up on the halfway mark next time around.
Jeff Bodine got a tough break when he caught the 2 car driven by J.D. McDuffie going in that corner. And look what kind of gap it gave Ernie Irvin.
Here we go. There it is. The cross flag displayed by Doyle Ford. We're at the halfway point now. There is no right challenge money paid for this race, so Ernie does not pick up $10,000, but nevertheless will get the credit for leading at the halfway point of the Heinz Southern 500. Labor Day weekend tradition here in South Carolina, and we're glad you could join us. We'll take a break and be right back. We're back at Darlington Raceway in South Carolina for the Heinz Southern 500, and we are watching our leader, Ernie Irvin, up ahead from the Heinz in-car camera carried by Jimmy Spencer. Jimmy is not on the lead lap, having spun earlier in the event and hitting the wall. And now you can see how he is signaling Jeff Bodine to pass on the outside.
That's a very courteous thing to do. Tell the faster driver what your intentions are so that they know what to do inside, outside.
There's Ernie. Now we're going to give you a field snapshot. Get set and watch for your favorite driver, because we're going to lock down the camera in turn number 1 and watch the field pass through. We'll also time the lap by the leader, Ernie Irvin. Watch for your favorite driver. There's Bodine and Spencer, Petty, Gant, Martin,
Earnhardt, Kulwicki, Bill Elliott. No, that wasn't Earnhardt. That was Earnhardt back behind Bill Elliott.
There's Strickland, Brett.
Dale Jarrett right over there. Jarrett Coach goes behind the
Apparently money. That was the 41 car driven by Chad Little, I thought it was. Rick Wilson.
Dave Marcus.
Allison.
Butch Miller. Here he comes. 33.9. That's 145.062 miles an hour.
That's considerably slower than they qualified, but they always slow down on a slick, hot racetrack.
You might have noticed that one of the real good battles on the track, as you saw the field pass through last time, was this Alan Kulwicki, Dale Earnhardt, and Bill Elliott struggle. And so we'll focus in on it.
tell you, Earnhardt's not doing too bad. If he's got a towing problem, they fix it on the next pit stop. Competition might be in trouble. If he passed Elliott, the fans obviously went a little bit hysterical when he did that. Now he's working on Kowicki.
Earnhardt and Elliott are the two guys that are leading the balloting for the most popular driver nomination this year. And at the moment, Bill Elliott leads that contest that is decided by the fans. But Dale Earnhardt is running a very close second. Of course, that contest won last year by Darrell Waltrip.
Kowicki finally just moves over and says, okay, Dale, since you're much faster than I am, go ahead. Again, race the racetrack, like Ned said a moment ago. That's what the drivers want to do. Not so much the other competitors, but just try to be there at the end of 500 meters.
6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. As they close in on
9th and 7th. Pontiac goes down on the inside strip once again.
Traffic pass by, now moving back up into the groove with clear racetrack. The hood is buckled up just a little bit on that car because of his contact with the inside retaining wall in the backstretch.
Yes, he had to go in and make some repairs on that car, so he spent a good bit of time during raceway running with this.
Waltrip passing the Hines car. 193 out of 367 laps completed. Ernie Irvan continues to set the pace at the Hines Southern 500 at Darlington Raceway in South Carolina. Jeff Bodine running in second, followed by Kyle Petty, Harry Gant, and Mark Martin. Well, you remember earlier this year, Ernie Irvan had just taken over. He had competed in Atlanta in this car, but came here to Darlington with high hopes, and things did not turn out too well with Ernie Irvan. Now, he had lost several laps and was trying to get a lap back when he made contact with the leader of the race, Ken Shrader, and that triggered a multi-car crash coming off of turn number 4. And Ernie Irvan was criticized for that move, and there is no question that since that time, Ernie Irvan has matured greatly, and it showed very graphically last week at Bristol when he battled with Rusty Wallace for the last 80-some laps of that race and held him off and really showed some maturity.
Well, I told Ernie Irvan after the race here in April, I said, Ernie, I knew you were going to crash. I told some people 2 or 3 days beforehand you're going to crash because you can't go to Darlington pumped up like we were. And I think he appreciated that, and he has the maturity that boy's shown the last 15 races has been incredible.
Yeah, he realized that he has a good race car, and that was only what, the 2nd or 3rd race that he had been in that car when he was here at Darlington, and it was a fast race car, and boy, he wanted to prove to the world what he could do. But the place jumped up and got him, and he has certainly matured a lot since then.
10th and 11th, and 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th here. We're looking back from Dick Trickle's bumper cam to Brett Bodine, and following him is Dale Jarrett and Michael Waltrip.
Brett Bodine has tried to make a pass a couple of times, and you can see the yellow car Michael Waltrip peek out there for just a moment. Here they are. Is to come up on the car number 41. Is now being driven by Chad Little. There you see Michael Waltrip going very high in the turn, Bodine staying down a little lower.
And following Michael Waltrip is the number 21 Citgo Ford, the Wood Brothers entry, driven by Dale Jarrett, who was victorious here at Darlington yesterday in the Busch Grand National race.
Dale has been running good today, and they've had some not too good pit stops. Well, they're pitting on the front stretch, but one time they had an air wrench problem and really got him behind, so he played catch up. And then the last pit stop was a little better, but still not as good as some of the others that he had passed. So he's been playing catch-up quite a bit.
You're right, Bob, by saying ooh, because that was almost a bad deal.
Yeah, it was.
Brett Bodine slowed dramatically so he could get by the 41 car driven by Chad Little. And almost was running the back by Michael Waltrip and Dale Jarrett.
11th, 12th, and 13th there. Bodine, Waltrip, and Jarrett.
We showed the average speed, or you told me the average speed just a moment ago, 145 miles per hour. They qualified 158 miles per hour. So you can see how much the drop-off in speed has been after they run a few laps at this racetrack.
But it is hot here this afternoon. It has been all weekend, but it's really hot and humid here this afternoon.
Well, we've run about almost 50 laps since they made their last pit stop. And the tires are getting heated up quite a bit again.
Here's an interesting statistic, and I was thinking about this a few laps ago, and our Kenny Martin has beat me to the punch and answered it before I asked him. No driver in the Winston Cup modern era, that is since 1972, has followed up his first career win with a win the next race out. How about that?
That would be something. That's very interesting.
But he's on his way to doing it at the moment.
They sure can't catch him.
Nope.
But they got to make some more pit stops. We're just a little bit over halfway.
Now, I did that not in the modern era, Bob. But when I won my first one at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, on a Saturday night in 1959 on a half-a-mile dirt track, I went to Charlotte, North Carolina, the old half-a-mile track there that's no longer in existence, and won the next day. Won two in the same weekend.
I'll be darned.
That's when I wrote the bad check for the car.
We won't talk about that. Let's get down to Jerry Punch, who has talking about some relief drivers here in the hot sun at Darlington.
Indeed, Bob, the life of a Winston Cup relief driver. I'm with Jimmy Hensley, who has been asked to stand by for relief for Kyle Petty. Now, Jimmy finished 5th in the Busch Series race yesterday and is currently 2nd in the point standings there. Jimmy, I know you must have mixed emotions. You'd like to be in the race car, but you'd like to see Kyle stay in because he's running so well.
Well, that's true, Jerry. I was happy, they asked me to stand by, but right now he looks like he's doing real good. He's been up in the top 5, since about the 40th lap, so looks like he's feeling pretty good right now. The car's running good.
Many of the fans may remember the last time you climbed in a Winston Cup car in a relief effort was last year up at Martinsville, Virginia. You ran 1 lap for Childers and put his car on the pole, so pretty good batting average in relief.
Well, right now, that was a big day for me, and that's kind of got my career on the roll right now, and stuff like this has helped too, so we're just thankful to be here.
One of the talented Busch Grand National drivers standing by, getting ready, possibly if needed, for relief for Kyle Petty. Hey, John Carter, this is exactly how hot is it here?
Jerry, it is so hot you can see how hot I am. Well, I've grabbed one of the, what they use is a tire temperature thermometer, and it's not a very active reading, or accurate reading, I should say, but it's been reading somewhere around 120. Now, I touched the asphalt with it. It jumped all the way up to 135. Now, how do they keep cool here in the pits? Well, this is a bag of ice that Tim Brewer has down here. If I can get a shot of this, a bag of ice. He has been wearing it on his head to keep a cool head, I guess you might say, which is very important here in the pits.
10 drivers began this race wearing cool suits to try to keep them cool, but most of the field choosing not to go with the cool suit.
While Jerry Punch was talking to Jimmy Hensley down there, Rob Moroso in the Crown Oldsmobile made contact with the wall up in turn 1 and 2. As we've seen several drivers do, went in the corner, brushed the wall, kept going, kind of like Jerry Cope did. Doesn't seem to be a lot of damage.
And then there becomes another problem going into turn 1 here. As this race goes on, you start looking dead into that sun. A lot of glare down there. Sometimes you can't see really where you are.
That's right. When you go in the corner net, exactly, you can't. Right there, Ernie Irvin cannot see the race. He can now, but later on, he will not be able to see the racetrack. You kind of got to guess where it is.
And every time we have a Winston Cup race, we guess what the hat of the week is going to be. So with Ernie Irvin leading here with 209 laps completed, let's get the scoop on Benny's hat of the week for this week.
When Judd Fell and Gordon Pfeiffer of Ashtabula, Ohio sent the hat, they said, this is it, the ultimate race fan hat. And I think they're right. Head hugger radio so you can listen to the race while you're there. Stopwatch so you can clock your favorite driver. Binoculars to check what's going all the way around the racetrack. And racing fans around the Reading, Pennsylvania area, September the 13th, Thursday night at 8 p.m., the Reading Municipal Ballpark, The NHRA drag racers challenged the NASCAR drivers to a slow pitch softball game. All the proceeds going to Darrell Gwynn, who was injured so severely about 3 months ago in England. I'll be there. A lot of the NASCAR drivers, a lot of the NHRA drag racers, they'll be there. So all you plan on attending. Oops, trouble over in turn 2. Hey, you Elliott fans, calm down back there.
By the way, Benny mentioned he was going to be at that softball game. He will be the backstop for that particular.
Wait a minute. No.
You make a good one. We understand the leader may be coming in for a pit stop. Yep. Jerry Punch will call this pit stop by Ernie Irvan, who becomes among the first to make what we appear to be a scheduled stop. Jerry?
This would be a scheduled pit stop, but actually it's about 7 laps early is what they really wanted to run. But Ernie Irvan brings the Kodak Chevrolet down pit road. Tony Glover holding the signboard, a very brave guy with those brakes as hot as they are. He cleans away the trail here in the Chevrolet Aluminum. Crew now changing right side tires. Remember, the green flag stops, so speed, very important here. Efficiency, right side tires now going on the car. The left side lug nuts have been pulled away. They whip that air hose around the car, trying to jack the car, left front tire off, left rear tire off. You got the car full of fuel. Lug nuts back in place. They will rip that jack. He is headed down turn 12. Bodine coming out of turn 4. Great pit stop now for the Ernie Irvan crew.
Bodine will pass by and put Ernie a lap down for the moment. However, we will be seeing the pit stops occur from everybody, and they'll be an equal situation unless we have a yellow flag.
Dale Earnhardt's crew standing on pit road like he might be going to make a pit stop pretty soon. As we watch our leader, Jeff Bodine, going in turn 3, and we know that he don't need any fuel. I think he can run 500 miles on the tank of gas.
But I'll bet you fellas it won't take Ernie Irvan 3 laps till he'll come up and pass Jeff Bodine and get back in the lead lap with those 4 new tires on it. Here's Earnhardt apparently going another lap before he comes into the pits. Hey, 3 laps, he didn't make 1 lap. That is unreal.
A half lap. Wow. Look, he just drives around Jeff on that. See, if we were to clock Ernie now, he'd probably run about 32 seconds flat versus 34 seconds flat with those worn tires.
And look how far he pulls away. That's how much of a difference tires make. And we'll see most of them put on 4 tires too. Because that left side tires here, especially on front steer cars, and most of them are running front steer cars, make a big difference. They take a pretty good beating. And so they'll put on 4 tires.
Childress crew continues to wait, but Mark Martin comes in for the Jack Roush team to go to work on its stop. He comes in rather slowly.
We see how he's angled out. That's a smart move on a driver's part. You angle out when you stop so that if someone parks in front of you, you can drive out easy. Obviously, Derek Cope was in front of him. He's not there, but it's always something you should do.
There goes Ernie Irvan past, and there goes Jeff Bodine past Mark Martin as he completes the work on the Wilson's Ford and gets rolling again in 21.5 seconds.
Very again in the pits as Mark Martin goes out of the pits. Of course, Mark Martin is now lapped down to Jeff Bodine.
Harry Ginn is running in 4th spot, relinquishing it to come in for some fresh tires and fuel.
Sterling Martin a little further up pit road in for service on his Sunoco Oldsmobile.
Everyone's changing 4 tires. All the cars we've seen on pit road so far.
Yep, I think they will. All the front runners in particular, they'll take on 4 tires because it wouldn't take long. You'd abuse those right side tires if you only put those on just a few laps. And it wouldn't do you much good.
Earnhardt and Bodine staying out there. Dale drifts high up on the racetrack again. Alan Kowicki comes in for his pit stop. As there is the leader, Jeff Bodine, number 11.
Now Rick Wilson in the car number 75, the Dinner Bell hot dog car, had gone a lap down to Ernie Irvan. Now he's back in the lead lap, but about to go a lap down to Jeff Bodine. As Earnhardt now coming into the pits in the Goodwrench Chevrolet, and Jerry Punch is there.
The winningest active driver at Darlington Raceway, Dale Earnhardt, with 6 career victories here, including this race a year ago, brings the Goodwrench Chevrolet to a halt. He'll work on the right side of the car. Earnhardt grabbing both comes from Gatorade. Ernie Irvan down in turn 3 now, and Earnhardt's crew is staying the right side. Cars will come around on the left side. Ernie Irvan has already made his pit stop. Jeff Bodine is due to pit. Left side tires now on the Earnhardt Goodwrench Chevrolet. He's down the way. Great pit stop for the Goodwrench crew.
And now we wait for Jeff Bodine's pit stop. Here comes Kyle Petty in as we watch the work on that from the crew cam.
He looked up to the left side of the car, Richard Bostic. Now look the other way.
Got a second can of gas.
Yep.
Got it full of fuel. Now they continue to work on the left side of the car. Jeff Bodine comes in, and John Kernan is there.
Well, Jeff could have run just a few more laps without running out of fuel, but he's seen how quickly a car with 4 new tires runs. So Jeff, he misses his pit, he slides by. Now they're going to go to work. Hopefully they got enough air hose to get over there, but it looks like they don't. Well, yes, they do. Now the left Irvin is coming out of turn 4. Left side lugs off, right side's already on. And they're getting the jack under. Here comes Ernie Irvin to the start-finish line. He passes by, gets his lap back. And Jeff Bodine still in the pits. A costly move as he overshot. He finally gets down and away. 22.6, still a pretty good pit stop. But that cost him a few seconds by overshooting his pit.
Yeah, and it cost him a bunch of seconds out on the racetrack, John, as a result of Ernie Irvin running so faster on those new tires. Here's Bill Elliott coming into the pits.
Elliott picked up the lead for just a moment, but now he's in, and Jerry's there.
Elliott was the leader, a 3-time winner here at Darlington, and they will indeed get 4 tires here on the Melling Coors Sport for Bill Elliott. And they get a nice cold drink. They're cleaning the windshield. Mike Mean really scrubbing the windshield. Remember, Ned mentioned visibility is a serious problem here late in the afternoon. The windshield has to be extremely clean. Left side tires going on the car. Lug nuts now going back to the left side tire. They have fueled the car, ready to pull the jack. They pull it, he's away.
23-second pit stop for Bill Elliott. The 21 car of Dale Jarrett picks up the lead with pit stops being made.
But he's coming into the pits right now. Set go forward. The Wood brothers there ready to change 4 tires, we assume, on his car. Yep, they are going to change 4 tires. We see the fellows over there working on the left front, taking the lugs off. Eddie Wood on the right front, Glenn Wood on the right rear, and Terry Hall, the son-in-law of Glenn Wood, doing the jack duty. So that's a family operation there.
Here comes Rick Wilson in just ahead of Dale, and here comes Rick Mast out of the pits. Number 22, the 26 car of Brett Bodine picked up the lead, but now here he comes off the fourth corner, and John Kernan will call the pit stop for the Quaker State Buick team.
Brett Bodine pulls the Quaker State Buick into the pits. It wasn't a 4-tire change, but he did get just a little bit crooked, turning out more into the pit lane to go around to the right side. Left side lugs coming off, right side's going on. Cleaning the windshield. I don't know if you can see, but a lot of oil and debris on the windshield makes it very hard to see. Very important to get the windshield clean. 2 cans of Uniform Towels, 76 Racing gasoline going in. The right, left side tires going on, lugs going down. Jack is down, and he is away. 21.9 seconds, a pretty good pit stop.
Boy, I should say it is. That's among the better ones that we saw on this series of stops. And both of the Bodines came into the pits a little bit hot. There's the leader, Ernie Irvin, there in the number 4 car, running alongside of Dick Trickle. Now with all the pit stops made, it is the number 4 of Ernie Irvin in the lead again. Now, we'll take a look at Jeff Bodine overshooting his pit.
Yeah, he went by a full car length farther than they expected him to.
And another angle will show you how far he went past the assigned position.
It really messes up the pit stop. Really messes up the pit stop because those fellas know where they're supposed to be. Here's Brett Bodine coming in. Locks up the rear tires and almost spins the car out on pit road.
But you know, he positioned it perfectly to get out.
He sure did.
Did about a quarter of a spin and had the nose pointed exactly in the direction that he wanted it pointed to get out of the pits.
That pit that Jeff Bodine slid into was the pit that Rusty Wallace was using. Of course, Wallace has been out of the race since the early going, so didn't bother anybody.
Ernie Irvin continues to lead the Heinz Southern 500. We're live from Darlington International Raceway in South Carolina. And we'll be right back. Back at Darlington, and we have a crash up in turn number 1. Dick Trickle got loose and bumped the wall, and then we had a couple of cars run into each other behind him, and Ernie Irvin just escaped.
Boy, there's Bobby Hill enough against the outside retaining wall.
That was close for Irvin. If we have it in replay, you will see how close it was for Ernie. Meanwhile, here he comes around the fourth corner, taking the caution flag, the 8th of the afternoon.
Dick Trickle trying to get a lap back, but he couldn't do it. He had just passed Ernie Irvin, but then he got loose and lost it. And we'll see it right here as it happens.
We see Trickle going behind the 2 car, J.D. McDuffie, gets the car out of shape, never can save it. He goes up, hits the outside retaining wall. The 17 runs in the back of Ernie, and Hillen runs in the back of the 17 car, and both those cars make some heavy contact. There's Phil Parsons, I think, driving under those cars.
I don't think it would have taken much to get that 17 car over on its side. Watch as he gets T-boned by the Bobby Hillen, number 8.
We see Dick Trickle going on the outside and never can get the car saved. Oh, wow, you're right, Bob. And Brett Bodine.
He had to really climb on the brakes. Ernie Irvin is going to need tires, and here he comes. Jerry Punch is there.
Indeed, he will need tires, and Tony Glover and the rest of the Kodak crew are going to work on the car, but a brake for Irvin. The rear of the car, the quarter panel, some of the rear fenders actually pushed up a little bit, some damage on the rear of the car. A very busy place down here in pit road, and they will change right side tires. Kyle Petty getting service right behind Ernie Irvin. Mark Martin right in front of him as they change them left side tires. Jack being pushed beneath the Kodak Chevrolet. Left front tire going on. Remember, the left rear fender was pushed in a little bit. He pulled it back away. Irvin car is down and away down pit road.
And he comes out just ahead of Harry Gant, who almost ran into Brett Bodine.
And Jeff Bodine, who made a pit stop just, 5 laps ago on the green flag, gas only. He goes back on the racetrack, and he now is the leader of the race.
Here is, there's Bobby Hillen's car up against the wall in the second corner. Here's a replay from Dick Trickle's bumper cam. Dick just bounced off the wall, but Bobby Hillen and Greg Sachs made contact with each other back of him, and Bobby Hillen climbs out of the car, apparently okay. Still under caution here at Darlington. It was a close call for Ernie Irvin just a few laps ago as he almost got involved in a multi-car wreck up in turn number 2. Benny, let's talk to him on the radio.
Ernie Irvin, this is Benny Parsons up in ESPN. Close call, buddy.
Yeah, it sure was. You know, Dick got in there and got a little bit loose, but, you know, everything turned out good.
Did you close your eyes, or what'd you do?
Well, I kept my eyes open. That might have been a mistake because that made it a little scarier. But, you know, we got this Kodak film Chevrolet running pretty good today, and we made it through that deal.
I'm just watching the replay. There's a heck of a wreck behind you. Did you see that?
Well, somebody run into me from behind, so I didn't bother to look up and see who it was. I was trying to figure out how to get the heck out of there.
Tony Glover, how's your man doing?
He's doing a real fine job, Benny. I tell you, he's showing a lot of poise, and he's showing he's a pretty mature race driver today. And if he keeps driving that Kodak Chevrolet like he is, I believe we're going to be in good shape.
Well, okay, guys, 1 to go. Good luck.
1 to go, Ern. Got 1 to go, bud.
Yeah, in less than a lap, we'll be going back to Green. We'll take a quick break and be back for the restart of the Southern 500. The yellow remains out here at Darlington, and the reason is because the NASCAR scoring officials are going over the scoring procedure here and making sure that everybody is lined up properly for the restart. Michael Waltrip is shown as the leader of the race in car number 30, and then Bill Elliott and Dale Jarrett at the tail end of the lead lap. More on this from Jerry.
There's a discussion in the Bill Elliott pit about what happened just a minute ago during the pit stops. Apparently, Michael Waltrip pitted for fuel only. Now, Bill Elliott did not pit at all. He stayed on the racetrack. Bill saw the 30 car come back on the racetrack, and it's a blend rule that involved. It's really sort of a call by NASCAR. They are checking the scoring tapes now to determine if indeed Michael Waltrip beat Bill back on the racetrack, and would Michael be the leader, or would Bill Elliott be the leader by virtue of not pitting at all. That's why we had a delay right now, and we're still under caution.
Okay, they're getting it sorted out, and we'll be yellow here for just a few more minutes. They have told Bill Elliott to go in front of Michael Waltrip, and you see the exchange being made right there. So
those 2 cars in front, Dale Jarrett in the 21 and Brett Bodine in the 26, are both on the tail end of the lead lap. Is that correct, Ned?
Well, Dale Jarrett, see, he has not made a pit stop, so he can stay up on the outside groove because he is in the lead lap. Brett Bodine did make a pit stop, so he has to come up on the inside as the lap cars do. So since he is up there, he's in front of Bill Elliott. So yeah, he's so
both those cars start side by side are in the tail end of the lead lap.
Yeah, so that's somewhat of a break for Brett Bodine that Jarrett is up there because it gives him one more car up in front of Bill Elliott. So
Elliott didn't pit, and Michael Waltrip and Jeff Bodine pitted only for fuel during this caution period.
We talk about track position. Can you imagine Bill Elliott did not pit trying to get that track position?
Here we go. Oh, Jarrett with a slow start. That car is not going. Everybody missed him, but man.
Yeah. Well, what a tough break when he thought he was going to get back in the lead lap. Now he's not even getting to go.
It was scary, but everybody avoided him, and down the backstretch, Brett Bodine has his lap back, and the lead of the race is Bill Elliott at number 9. Here's a replay of the restart, and you can see that Jarrett, who was up front on the outside line, just did not go when he hit the accelerator.
Everybody pulled down on the inside. He stayed up close to the outside wall. And here's trouble on the front straightaway. Mark Martin is involved. Butch Miller is against the wall. Martin, I don't think, has hit anything. I think he just spun around the second time today that the point leader has spun around.
He made a 360, and I don't think he touched anything, but Butch Miller did.
And let me tell you, folks, I'm telling you, you used a kid about this thing, and a guy closed his eyes on it. He drove that car every inch of the way. And look at Brett Bodine trying his best to get a lap back.
And
yeah,
Doyle
he's trying
Ford,
to stay in the lead lap, and sure enough, he does.
Doyle Ford signaling that the crash is here on the main straightaway, but so to slow down. Butch Miller in the Banquet Planters Peanuts car. Here is the contact with the wall that Butch had, and then Mark Martin sliding through.
And he's steering this car right now, folks. I watched him as he was going down through there. I was looking eyeball to eyeball, and he was steering.
So it has been a tough day for Mark Martin, but he has survived a couple of very close calls. Butch Miller with some rather hard contact. By the way, he's scheduled to fly out of here just as soon as the checkered flag drops on his private plane and go to Minneapolis, Minnesota at the State Fairgrounds, where he's scheduled to compete tomorrow in an ASA race.
He was running in the 17th position. One lap down.
Dale Jarrett is in. Jerry, what's the problem down there?
On the restart, Dale Jarrett said the car would not come out of second gear as Mark Martin brings the Folgers forward down pit road. And the Sid Crow crew now trying to get the car out of second gear, just put it into high gear. A tough break for Dale Jarrett. Meanwhile, Mark Martin headed down pit road for service. Let's check in with John Kernan.
The Folgers crew goes to work on the right side. It will be a 4-tire change. I asked Jack Roush if he hit anything, and he just smiled, shook his head, said, no, we're okay. We just got to bring it in and put on new tires. So once again, a very fortunate happening. Well, fortunate in that he didn't hit anything. Now the rights are on, left sides are coming off. They're taking their time just to make sure that everything is okay and that nothing is rubbing against the tire or anything like that. Now Martin is down and away.
But Johnny won't hurt him as much this time as it did earlier when he spun out, because there are only 12 cars on the lead lap. So that puts him in much better position. He doesn't have many cars to come up through.
And Kyle Petty is another one who has driven through many instances of close calls this afternoon, and here was another one. And maybe we can see from his Jason Binoculars in-car camera what happened. There you see Butch spinning around.
It looks like the 71 car, Dave Marcus. I don't know if Butch just lost it. The 71 car was right on his bumper. Hard to tell. It's almost impossible to tell if there was any contact.
In any case, you may have heard during John's pit report for Mark Martin that a huge round of applause went up from the people gathered here on the main straightaway, and they were cheering the fact that Butch got out of the car and walked to the ambulance. So he apparently is okay. But they're putting down some oil dry on the racetrack, getting it in shape for more green flag racing here in Darlington. Still under our 9th caution period of the afternoon here in Darlington in the Southern 500, as Butch Miller put his car into the wall here on the straightaway, and Mark Martin was involved by spinning down the straightaway. Let's get what happened straight from the horse's mouth, Ned.
Mark Martin, this is Ned Jarrett in the ESPN booth. You read me?
Yeah, man. How about that?
Boy, how about that? What did happen there?
Well, I was just explaining to the crew when I saw what was happening up ahead of me, I jumped out of the gas, and when I did that, the back end got loose, and the front of the car pointed right directly toward the wreck. It was wanting to drive right into the wreck, so I had to turn too far right to catch the back end, and when I did, it snapped and wanted to go out into the wall, and after that, I had my hands full. The dadgum thing just got to whipping back and forth, and finally had to let it go.
Yeah, we saw you doing all that whipping back and forth, but I'll tell you, you got to be leading a charmed life here this afternoon. 2 spins and still in the lead lap and in contention for this race.
Well, yeah, I guess we're lucky and unlucky. We shouldn't have been in either spin, but we're lucky to still have a chance at this thing, so we'll see what happens.
Okay, continue. Good luck.
Good shit, Mark.
Let's go down to Jerry Punch, who's with Dale Jarrett.
Well, a minute ago, we reported that Dale had a problem with the car being stuck in second gear, and Dale, it turned out to be even more than that.
Yeah, it sure did. It happened the first time going out on the green flag pit stop, and that's what really got us the lap down, and then we were in front there and going to try to make the lap up, and I think we could. The Sitco Ford was running pretty good, but it did the same thing. When I went to go in third gear, the shifter was messed up, and it put it back in first gear, and it turned it so many RPMs, I guess it messed up the engine.
Well, it's a downer today, but a big win for you yesterday.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it comes back around. I'd rather had the win today, but winning yesterday did give us a shot at that $25,000 bonus that Charlotte Motor Speedway is going to put up. So that is upside in winning at Darlington. But, you know, we can always look. We were running well, and we've got something to come back with next year.
Indeed you do. Getting ready to go green back here at Darlington, Bob.
And the crowd is on its feet as it looks toward turn number 4 and sees the field coming down for the green flag. And Bill Elliott is back in front of the Southern 500 with Michael Waltrip second, then Jeff Bodine, Ernie Irvin, and Harry Gant.
Bill Elliott did not make a pit stop, so his tire's a little bit worn. Ernie Irvin did make a pit stop, has those fresh tires. There's Jeff Bodine, he as well. Gas only, no tires. Let's see if Ernie's able to go by him. Not yet.
He's closing in on Bodine, though.
Here comes Ernie on the inside of Jeff.
They are 2 abreast in that first corner. And Ernie will try to take the spot away from Jeff Bodine, and he does.
And Harry Gant follows him.
Bodine might have had to back off a little bit coming off of that turn as the car slipped up close to the wall. There's Earnhardt right on his back bumper.
Earnhardt isn't out of this thing. He's still looking for that Unicount bonus money of $30,400 that he'll pick up if he wins because he was the pole sitter of this event.
Earnhardt right on the rear bumper of Jeff Bodine.
Well, right underneath him now. And Kyle Petty in the pink Pontiac trying to move into the inside of Jeff Bodine, and he makes the pass.
Boy, that 11 car is going to the rear, isn't it?
Well, I wonder if that car might be pushing just a little bit here now into early going, and if it'll come to him a little bit, or the track will come to him a little later. Here's Kyle Petty moving on the inside of Earnhardt.
He'll get him going into turn 1.
He'll try to get him, Bob.
He will.
Yeah, that way he will.
Right. Bob was right for a change.
For once.
Oh, Kyle Petty. Now Earnhardt trying back.
You know who that reminded me of?
Kyle hit him.
You a few years ago, coming off the second corner on the first lap. The turn south.
You tell everything you know. Folks, what he's talking about, I didn't make it to the first corner of the first time to hit the wall. I just tell him, Bob. Now Kyle's going to try it again.
You were my hero anyway, my man. Still are.
But one thing he had done, he'd won the pole for that.
That's right. I got to give him credit for that.
Thanks, man. There's Dick Trickle, and Earnhardt trying his best to use Trickle as a pick. And goes in the corner right. Ooh, just flew in the corner on the outside of Trickle. I wonder if Jeff Bodine and Tim Brewer Jr. and those guys are wishing they'd changed tires now instead of just putting gas in it.
Yeah, I wonder. They've lost several positions since the green wave. They're back to 7th, and here is Harry Gant and Michael Waltrip battling for 3rd. Harry Gant will come out with the position. And right up ahead there is Ernie Irvin. Now there are 2 yellow cars running together. Irvin is in front of Rick Wilson.
Wilson, of course, a lap down.
And Ernie Irvan now has his sights set on the leader of the race, Bill Elliott, who has stretched out the advantage a little bit. Here you can see the interval between second and first position. Bill Elliott, who has won 3 times here at Darlington, is looking for victory number 4 and his 3rd Southern 500 win. Back at Darlington, and another caution period, and Kyle Petty's luck has run out. He's escaped several times this afternoon, but this one he was clearly involved in, along with Michael Waltrip.
And he was a victim of circumstances.
Looked like Michael and Earnhardt. Did they make contact, or just Earnhardt was trying to get under?
Well, let's see. We got a replay of it. Happened up in the 3rd turn between 3 and 4.
Okay, here's Michael Waltrip in the yellow car on the left. Earnhardt coming in on him pretty quick going into the turn. Michael slips a little bit high. They made contact right there, and Michael gets into the wall, and Kyle Petty, coming hard, runs into Michael Waltrip.
Had nowhere to go, but right in the back of Michael Waltrip.
Yep.
Ernie Irvan is in for a pit stop, and John Kernan is there.
Right side tires have already been changed on the Kodak Chevrolet. Left side's on, and he is down and away very quickly. So we got a report to Kyle Petty, as well as I can see, just pulled into the pits in the front end, demolished his radiator, is busted. So Gary Nelson and the crew are going to go to work on that as the hood goes up, and also there's a fire in the back of the engine compartment. They will put that out first before they can do obviously any work to spraying the water on that and trying to get the fire put out, but he's got quite a lot of damage on the front end of that race car.
Kyle Petty had run in the top 10 all day and had missed several incidents, but not that one. And there is Michael Waltrip. Now we're going to show you the entire lap that set up this whole thing in real time to show you what happened.
There we see a little bit of contact with Michael. He goes up, hits the wall. Kyle runs into him. Now watch behind. Now watch as the cars come in. Michael Waltrip, remember, is going slow. Here comes Kawicki, Davey Allison, Sterling Marlin.
Look at, watch Mark Martin, right?
Oh! Bodine was all the way, Jeff Bodine, all the way down on the flat. He came back up into the traffic, blended in as they were racing down to the start-finish line.
Boy, Michael Waltrip sits on the backstretch pits. Another close call for Mark. Let's see if we can raise him. Mark, this is Bob Jenkins. You read me?
Just took advantage of it too. A couple of the passes I made were, you know.
Now he's apparently talking with his crew right now. We won't eavesdrop on that, but when we get an opportunity, we'll maybe ask him how that looked to him.
Well, I'll tell you, he has been in some close calls today. The Winston Cup point leader, the Folgers Coffee Ford.
All right. They continue to work on Kyle Petty's car. He may be able to get back out there after an accident with Michael Waltrip here in the Southern 500. We are under caution still in the Southern 500 because of the accident up in the 3rd turn involving Michael Waltrip and Kyle Petty. Mark Martin came very close to being involved once again. Now the crew is having a conversation with him. Go ahead, Ned. We'll try to talk with him now.
Mark Martin, this is Ned Jarrett again on ESPN. You read me?
Yeah, Ned, how you doing?
Boy, you had another close call there.
What a day, I tell you what. This Folgers Thunderbird may be the lucky charm I need today. It's not real fast, but it's real steady, and it seems to be slipping by these close calls. So we'll see what happens. We're moving up and going to try to keep moving up.
Okay, you got the 1-lap signal again. Stay in there.
Thanks, Ned.
Now watch again him go between Jeff Bodine and Michael Waltrip.
Well, he almost ran in the back of Jeff Bodine, as Ned said. Jeff was trying to, he had slowed down for the accident, was trying to blend back in.
They're continue to work on Kyle Petty's car. This is from the crew cam. Now, you're probably wondering why we're not going to show you a replay of the accident from the in-car camera on Kyle Petty's car. There's a good reason for that. Our helicopters, of course, as you know, the signal has to be transmitted to and then back down from the helicopter, and those things have to refuel every now and then, and it is down for refueling right now, and we don't have the replay of it for you.
11 cars in the lead lap. They're Bill Elliott, Dale Earnhardt, Alan Kawicki, Sterling Marlin,
Mark Martin, the car 10 of Derek Cope, Jeff Bodine, Ernie Irvin, Harry Gant, Ricky Rudd, and Brett Bodine.
Here we go again. Green flag is out. This is lap 259.
Yellow car down the inside, the Jennifer Oldsmobile, driven by Rick Wilson.
And he is in 12th position, a lap down.
There's Kalicki going by on the outside. There's Rick Ford.
Now in his third.
Davey Allison trying to follow him by Rick Wilson.
Now Allison is a lap down, being shown in 13th position. Rick Wilson is being shown as 12th.
Here comes Davey on the inside of Rick, and they're side by side.
That's for the 12th position.
Sterling Marlin trying to get by the 75 car. Looks like they both moved at the same time. They zigged when they should have zagged. You know, why in the world did Bill Elliott, he did not pit again. He stayed out in front again, did not change tires.
Yeah, I guess he likes that set of tires. They seem to be working for him. He's pulling away from Earnhardt a little bit.
Well, here's Rick Wilson going high on the racetrack, allowing Sterling Marlin and Mark Martin to pass by. And here comes Derek Cope and Jeff Bodine.
Now, Jeff Bodine did come in that time and get some new tires.
And here comes Ernie Irvin. .106 laps to go.
Inside of Derek Cope has that position again. And Ernie did stop and change tires that time, so and all the cars in front of him did not stop.
As you can tell that Ernie's being very careful and plotting his strategy very carefully. Here's 94 and 6, Marlin and Martin for 4th position.
Now remember, Marlin was involved in a one-car spin earlier himself. No caution came out that time, but he stayed in the lead lap, and now he's fought his way back up into the top 5, but it's about to be passed for 4th.
Mark Martin goes inside of Sterling Marlin into turn number 1. Marlin holds him off for the moment, but Mark Martin.
And look at the 4 car on the inside of the level. We just saw him at the bottom of the screen, almost on the apron, and Mark Martin has position this time. Looks like he's going to take the spot away.
Now let's see if he slides up and Marlin drives back under him.
Ooh,
no.
Jeff Bodine almost ran the back of it.
Yeah, Marlin had to do a little defensive driving there. He was on offense and planned to drive back under Martin, but Bodine sort of fouled that effort out.
4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th right here.
Here Jeff goes underneath the 94 car. It's literally side by side, and Ernie wants to follow Jeff. But Sterling's going to drive in. Now Ernie has to go under him. If he's able to do that, he is with those 2 tires.
Bodine is now 5th, and Ernie Irvin goes to 6th.
And we saw Harry Gant coming in the picture. He moves into a 7th race spot, 8th.
Ricky Rudd and Derek Cope battling for position. And Harry Gant leading this trio.
Cope is one of the drivers on the lead lap. So is the yellow car number 5 of Ricky Rudd.
Who's leading?
Sure,
Bill Elliott.
Bill Elliott, the guy that hasn't stopped the last 2 cautions.
And he hasn't won this year. Can you believe that?
No, that's hard to believe.
Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Mike Beam. What is their strategy, Jerry?
Well, it's rather interesting. I guess they haven't been up front that much this year, with the exception of Michigan, and they like seeing the car up front. But I believe it's more to it than that. Mike, what's the strategy as you clock Bill going by that time? Pretty good lap for Bill, 33.15 on Mike's watch. What's the strategy? You haven't stopped.
Now, if we can go to about lap 300, you know, we can go, you know, we're going to make one stop, and everybody else wanted to stop also. And that was a good set of tires right there. You know, we got behind because we had to stop at one time and change 4 because that set of tires vibrate. We're just kind of waiting to see it. You know, we can go one more stop because, you know, they run like 20 laps out of 40 right there. So we're just going to see what happens and, you know, hope we make the right decision. It's a gamble to a certain extent, but, you know, I think we'll be okay. Bill said the car's fine. It's just the track decision hurt us, you know, starting from behind, you know. But we'll just see what happens.
Well, Bob Dickens, get out your calculator. The last time Bill Elliott's stop was on lap 221. Now, if they run, say, 72 or 73 laps, that means they're going to have to stop around lap 294. That'll give them exactly 73 laps to the conclusion. That's a pretty good figure here by Mike Beam.
Let's see, 221.
You'll never figure it out, Bob. Let's get your calculator.
Well, but that's going to be cutting each of the gas stops pretty close. He's going to be running up there pretty close to a full tank of fuel each time. Or using up full tank of fuel, I guess.
Let's watch carefully the number 11 car for some smoke that has been reported possibly coming from that car. I don't know. I don't see it there in the third and fourth turns.
Watching 2, 1, and 2, maybe. Hard to tell.
All right, let's check our Western Auto Race recap as we move into the final 100 laps of the Heinz Southern 500. Bill Elliott leading, has led 68 of the 265 laps. We've had 10 cautions for a total of 53 laps. Currently 11 cars on the lead lap, and the number of cautions has held down the average speed to 116.5 miles an hour. Dale Earnhardt, Dave Marcus, Jeff Bodine, Bill Elliott, Butch Miller, Ernie Irvan, and Dale Jarrett have all led this race at one time or another. Now those that are out of the race, Rusty Wallace was the very first to drop out with engine problems, very early. Also Bailey, Duffy, Mean, Shrader, Little, Petty, Stahl, Saxby, Chad Little is back in as a relief driver now. And also exiting the show, Bobby Hillen, Dale Jarrett, and Butch Miller. Now, the Western Auto Mechanic of the Year standings. Robin Pemberton on the Mark Martin car continues to lead with Tim Brewer on the Jeff Bodine machine second. Then Danny Glad with Alan Kowicki, Mike Beam with Elliott, and Andy P3 of Harry Gant rounding out the top 5. That's the battle for the Western Auto Mechanic of the Year award.
Here's Mark Martin and the car number 11 of Jeff Bodine and the car number 4 of Ernie Irvan. Ernie's been trying hard to get around to Jeff Bodine. Hasn't been able to make the pass. This might be his best chance now, but can't quite do it that time.
Imagine Tony Glover telling him, look, there's still a lot of laps to go, almost 100 laps to go. Be patient, be patient. That leader just isn't that far away.
Mark Martin running 4th, Bodine currently in 5th, and Ernie Irvan trying to take 5th away. Might have it this time.
If he does for the moment, let's see what happens in the third turn. Ernie Irvan, is he going to be able to hang on to 5th? We'll show you the interval between those two and the leader. There he is, Bill Elliott, so it isn't that much racetrack that separates us. Jack Pennington again spinning on the backstretch. Will there be a caution? Nothing at the moment. Pennington has the car straightened around. He did make some contact with the inside retaining wall, it appears, but he is moving again, and there will be no caution. So Bill Elliott, looking for win number 1 in the 1990 season, is leading Dale Earnhardt here in the track Too Tough to Tame, Darlington. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, who in 1985 won the Winston Million at this race, is the leader of this Southern 500. There's second place Dale Earnhardt in number 3, and third place Alan Kowicki in car number 7. He was up challenging Earnhardt just a lap or so ago, but has now dropped back just a little bit. Then behind Kowicki is Mark Martin, the current points leader, and Ernie Irvan. All of these cars on the lead lap and battling for position. Then comes Jeff Bodine in the number 11 Budweiser Ford.
He is running in 6th position. Then 7th is Ricky Rudd coming into the picture there in the Levi Garrett Chevrolet. And in 8th place is Harry Gant there in the Skoll Bandit, number 33.
And we remind you that Rusty Wallace, who was 270 points behind the leader Mark Martin in 4th position in the point standings coming into this race here today, dropped out very early and will finish 40th, but maintain his 4th position in the standings.
There's your 9th and 10th place car, Sterling Marlin, and the car number 10 of Derek Cope. The only other car in the lead lap was Brett Bodine. He's behind those 2 cars. Here's the leader again, Bill Elliott.
Bill Elliott has finished second on 3 different occasions. Hasn't won yet.
That's the second going on here.
Boy, the 7 car got his right rear end up against the wall.
And Ned talked about earlier in the show the visibility problem down in turn 1, and it's getting that time of the day when the cars are driving straight into the sun going in turn 1. Now this is coming off turn 4. There's Bill Elliott coming off turn 4. We're going to take a field snapshot. We'll keep the camera there and watch the time Bill Elliott. You see Kyle Petty back on the racetrack after a lot of work on his automobile because of the crash.
You see Terry Labonte coming in there in the car number 1. He is currently running in the 13th position, 1 lap down. Ralph Rosso is running 12th. He's 1 lap down.
Morgan Shepherd still in the race despite 2 incidents of Kenny Shrader. There's Jimmy Spencer.
Morgan Shepherd's only a lap down. He's being shown in 17th place.
Waiting for Ernie Irvin to come through, or rather Bill Elliott to come through again. Here he comes. He'll stop the clock. 33.6. It's 146.3. Earlier it was 33.9, so he's going a little bit faster now than he was earlier in the event when we timed him.
Yeah, that's not bad on those tires as long as he has had them on there to be still running that speed.
The helicopters airborne once again, and that means we have Kyle Petty's Jason Binoculars in-car camera working, and Kyle is back out on the racetrack after that accident. Times 57 in-car camera carried by Jimmy Spencer is also functioning once again.
Bob, you remember you saying at the top of the show as we watch Jimmy Spencer coming there that track starting positions here were very important?
Yep.
9 of the 11 cars that were on the lead lap started in the top 10.
Here's Dick Trickle's in-car camera. That does pay off to start up front here, Darlington.
Trickle is currently being shown in 14th position, 1 lap down.
Here's the foot cam. Dick Trickle getting on the brakes. Now onto the accelerator again.
You know, Dick Trickle injured his left foot. That's why he isn't using that on the brake, because he normally would use the left foot on the brake. But he's got the left foot there. He's hitting the brakes going in the corner. Off the brake, back on the gas. Easy in the gas, easy in the gas. Still playing the throttle a little bit more. Now all the way down on the throttle.
Going into 3 now.
See how much less brake use going in 3 because turn 1 and 2 is shorter. You don't get up to speed that you do going down the front straightaway. Now it's going off turn 4.
Hanging down at the top. Is that a disconnected wire?
Looks like some ignition wire. Yeah. Probably a dual ignition wire that's disconnected.
Ooh, look at this. Ernie Irvin moves up to challenge the 7 car of Alan Kulwicki. This is for 3rd place.
It hasn't been long ago that Irvin was back there fighting for the 5th place. Now moving up on the 3rd place car. That car's strong today. Ernie has done a good job driving.
You see some damage to the left rear. I don't know how extensive the damage is, whether or not they're going to gas neck. I think the gas neck is okay.
We should have pit stops coming up. How soon?
Well, for Bill Elliott, maybe in the next 10 or so laps. But some of the others can go a good bit longer.
And we talked about Ernie Irvin. Kulwicki once again is using the Dale Earnhardt line through the 1st and 2nd corners, right up against the wall.
Well, this is the way we used to have to do it here when they had guardrails. You ran right up next. In fact, you just rubbed the right rear quarter panel against the guardrails, especially through turns 3 and 4. That they're going very, very high down in turn 1 and 2. Now, we ran very low in turns 1 and 2 back then.
There's Kowicki once again goes up against the outside retaining wall. He was running the bottom of the racetrack when he went to challenge the 3-car, but now he's moved up higher.
Look at Kowicki. He's had a very disappointing season, but yet in the last 4 races, he has not done bad at all. In fact, a couple of 11ths and 2 top 10 place finishes. Then look at Ernie Irvan. A good run, 6th, and then a couple of bad races and his win last week at Bristol. So Ernie is still in contention for the win, so is Alan Kowicki. But at the moment, it is Bill Elliott who is leading the Trans-South 500 with 289 of 367 laps completed. We'll be back in just a moment. Bob Jenkins, Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, John Kernan, and Dr. Jerry Punch welcoming you back to the Heinz Southern 500 Winston Cup race here at Darlington Raceway, where Dale Earnhardt now begins to challenge Bill Elliott for the lead. Elliott has slowed the last few laps.
Just in the last 2 or 3 laps, Bill Elliott's car seemed to have slowed down. And there Ernie goes by Kowicki to take over 3rd spot. But it seems like Bill's car slowed dramatically. I would not be surprised if he doesn't hit that pit road pretty soon.
Yeah, I think his tires have perhaps gone away. He's been out there a long time on them. Now, if he came in now, he'd still have 72 laps to go, which is a little less than 100 miles. So this is probably
within the window, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think it'd be within the window.
There's the crew, the Coors crew, getting set when Bill decides he wants to come in for a pit stop. They're standing by with the fresh rubber.
Earnhardt's going up against that outside retaining wall too, isn't he?
Still, yeah.
Getting a good grip off the corner. Pulls right up on the back bumper of the Ford T-Bird.
Well, I think, he's going to be out of sequence with some of the cars behind him, and Ernie Irvan in particular, and I think this is going to hurt Bill Elliott because if the race will go green the rest of the way, certainly the others are going to have to make a pit stop, but they're going to have fresher tires than is Elliott. However, now when he comes back out, he's going to be running faster than they are, but when you get down to the end of that green flag run, then his tires will be much older, and I think it'll tell the tale of it.
Elliott the leader and Earnhardt is second. Boy, a big payday for Dale Earnhardt if he should win this race. He was a pole sitter to pick up the Unicount bonus money and the $100,000 bonus from RJR. Bill Elliott stays out there. Let's go to Jerry for a report.
Remember, he pitted on lap 221. Now, by calculation, they could go a maximum of 75 laps. Now, 221 and 75, that's, 296? And it's lap 295 right now, so we expect Bill Elliott to be coming in this time about as far as he can absolutely go on fuel. Elliott's tires have run almost 103
Here he comes, Jerry. He's coming to you.
Tires getting worn down, and Bobby, as you said, making an entry down the pit road. The Coors Ford leading here in the Southern 500. Mike Lee with the crew getting ready to change 4 tires, bringing the car in. Got to be very careful on those worn tires, pumping those brakes. He brings the car to a halt. They clean the front grille. Mike Lee really cleaning that windshield. Make sure visibility is not a problem. Dan Elliott rolling the right front tire away. Ernie Elliott fixes up the tires. Come around the left side of the car. Remember the green flag stop. Cannot have a miscue here. Jack takes the left side. They roll the left front tire. Now out of turn 4 comes Dale Earnhardt. Ernie Irvan and Earnhardt. Elliott is off the jack and away, but he will lose a lap where the leader Earnhardt as they come down toward turn 1.
And it's a great battle for the lead as Ernie Irvan goes into turn number 1 side by side with Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt high on the track, Irvan low on the racetrack, virtually side by side going into the corner. Earnhardt holds him off.
The outside groove is the preferred one going into turn 1. You have that momentum built coming off of the turn. Ernie couldn't get the traction he needed, so he'll try to make the pass, maybe not this time around in turns 3 and 4, but I believe that's where he'll try it the next time.
Ooh, boy, those 2 cars almost hit him off that corner.
Boy, Ernie is really getting off the 4th corner and getting momentum down the straightaway. This time he passes Dale Earnhardt. Will it stick?
Well, he was able to get in there and get up there in that high groove so he could get the momentum off the turn, so he did make it work that time.
Remember when Dale Earnhardt used to sponsor some of Ernie's cars? Yeah. To help so he could race?
Yep.
Dale might have been a mistake. Should have sent that boy back to California.
Chocolate Myers has the helmet on. He's the fuel man on the Dale Earnhardt crew, and he is ready. He has handed out instructions, calling the shots on how this hopefully final pit stop for Dale Earnhardt will go. We understand that next time by, 4 tires, a full load of fuel for Dale Earnhardt. He'll give up second position, but he'll have enough fuel to carry him the rest of the way to the checkered flag.
Now, if the fans are wondering where Bill Elliott is on the racetrack, he's running about 3 2/10 seconds behind as we watch Dale Earnhardt come into the pits. He's running about 3 2/10 seconds behind the leader, Ernie Irvin. Now let's go to the pits as Earnhardt's coming in.
Final scheduled stop for Dale Earnhardt. He comes down pit road. Likewise, Alex Woodkey and the Xerox Ford will pit further down pit road, but Earnhardt's crew now going to work on the right side of the car. They are looking to take the lug nuts also off the left side. Right side tires already on. Diesel board now rolls the tire, holding the tire. David Smith coming around. Here's Kurt Shelverdine. They're putting left side tires on the Earnhardt car. Let's check it on the Alex Woodkey pit. John Turner.
A good pit stop in progress for the Xerox Ford team. Right side's already on, left side's going on. They made a chassis adjustment on the left rear and also some damage on the left rear. They pulled the sheet metal away from the tire and Kowicki is down and away.
And so both Earnhardt and Alan Kowicki complete their final pit stops of the day, and both go back out onto the racetrack, trying to build up the speed as quickly as possible.
There's a 3 car. Watch the 9's going to come into the picture. Let's see who's going to win. Earnhardt's going to win because he's going to go in the corner. He's got the pressure tires, and Bill Elliott is just a few car lengths behind him.
Now Bill is 2 4/10 seconds behind the leader. A lap and 2 4/10 seconds, I should say. I said there a moment ago it was 3 seconds behind him, but it's a lap of that much. But he is definitely gaining on the leader, and Earnhardt is not too far behind Ernie Irvin, so he should. In fact, he's going to get his lap back here right now. They come up on Phil Parsons, and Earnhardt just drives between them going into turn 3, and look at him go into that turn with those new tires and gets back in the lead lap.
Like a shot out of a cannon, Dale Earnhardt gets back on the lead lap. A lot more racing action to come your way here in the Heinz Southern 500. Ernie Irvin is in for his pit stop. They've already changed the tires on the right side of the car. Now they go to the left side. Fuel being put in. 19 seconds to be clicked off. Here comes Mark Martin in as Ernie Irvin goes back out onto the racetrack. 21.8 seconds stop. John Kernan has Mark stopped.
The Folgers crew awaits Clark's arrival on pit road as he comes down gingerly down pit road. He swings it into the pits, comes to a nice clean stop. The gas can going in, right side lugs coming off. They'll be flying on this stop, making sure everything is just right. Dale Earnhardt now goes into turn 3. Left side lugs off. They will make a chassis adjustment on the left rear. Right side's already on. Jack going under the left side. It goes up. Tires come off. Tires go back on. Earnhardt goes by. Now Martin is finally down and away.
Now Jeff Bodine had taken the lead, but he's coming into the pits as well. And I think Mark Martin had just taken the lead from Latitude for the first time today. Let's go to the pits again.
The Budweiser crew now working on Jeff Bodine. Tim Brewer has changed the right front tire. Pete Wright has the jack. You hear Jeff Bodine revving the engine. Peter Johnson jumped over the wall to make a chassis adjustment. Now Pete Wright scampered around, slide the jack, takes the left side of the car. Left front tire off. Left rear tire off. Henry Benfield building up the fuel. Bodine revving. They're waiting to pull the jack down and away.
1.7-second stop for Jeff Bodine.
Boy, those new tires are valuable because Dale Earnhardt at this point has a full straightaway on the 4 car of Ernie Irvin simply because he was able to stay on the racetrack and use those new tires while Ernie was out there on old tires. But now Ernie with the newer tires and look, Ricky Rudd all of a sudden has a problem. Or maybe his tires are just worn out.
Yeah, he now is in the lead. He has not made a pit stop, and I think his tires are worn out.
He will be coming in for a stop before too long.
Well, at least his scoreboard showing him in the lead, but there's Mark Martin right behind him and moving around him, so that doesn't mean that Mark Martin is taking the lead. So I think the scoreboard might be wrong here right now. So we'll have to get that squared away because there are several cars, including Ricky Rudd, that have not made green flag pit stops yet. Brett Bodine was also one of them. He is coming into the pits in the trainer safety. He was one of the cars. He left the cars on the lead lap. Brett was running in 11th place.
But here's Dave Buick, slides to a stop. Larry McReynolds on the team goes to work.
Morgan Shepard just into the mix and autograph forward.
Wiping the windshield on the 26 car to make sure the visibility is right in these last few laps.
Good pit stop for Brett Bodine, according to my watch. Those guys under 20 seconds.
Those guys have had fast pit stops all day. Rudd is leading.
Evidently, Mark Martin was getting back in the lead lap there a moment ago. I think this is what was happening when he went around. So Rudd is being shown as the leader. Dale Earnhardt being shown in second place, but Rudd is yet to stop. And I said a moment ago that I thought Mark Martin had taken the lead. He was shown on the scoreboard, but I think just as he took the lead, he came into the pits. So I don't think he officially led a lap to get those 5 bonus points.
He did not. Okay. Rudd brings it down off the banking and heads for his pits. His best finish here in a Southern 500 was 3rd last year. Jerry Punch.
Indeed, he would like to improve on that. And he brings the Levi Garrett Chevrolet down pit road. This car changed colors this year and carried the side colors. Crew now working on the car. Tony Price fit in the windshield. Dale Earnhardt up in turn 4. Silver point, trying to get the second can of fuel in the car. They changed the right side tires now. Stamping around to pull the left side tires on. New Goodyear Eagles going on the car. All the fuel taking in the car. That windshield. Lug out thrown. He is down to Jackson and away.
Ricky Rudd completes the work. Here's Alan Kowicki and Bill Elliott. This is the race for second position. And Kowicki moves inside in turn 3 and passes. Here comes Ernie Irvin, who also trying to take a position away from Bill Elliott.
And I hope those cars have newer cars than Bill Elliott's. As Ned said, Bill Elliott stopping earlier than the other cars is going to hurt him down the stretch.
While Dale Earnhardt leads, Alan Kowicki, Ernie Irvin, and Bill Elliott are going for 2nd and 3rd.
Earnhardt has himself a pretty good lead. He's going into turn 3 right now. Now, Alan Kowicki just entered turn 3. According to my stopwatch, he's 4 seconds ahead of Alan Kowicki.
Show you how far these guys are behind Earnhardt. There's Dale in turn number 2. Show you a Big A Auto Parts performance on Dale Earnhardt, and he had the best of those that we clocked this time. 13.6 for the driver and only 21.2 for the crew, a total of 34.8 seconds. So although the pit stops weren't especially fast in the early part of the race, when it gets right down to the nitty-gritty, they turn it on.
Well, the stops we've been clocking earlier was on caution flags when he had to follow cars. Now, this is a green flag stop when he didn't have to follow anyone. He could come in and go out at whatever speed he wanted.
So now it's Dale Earnhardt showing the way in the Southern 500 as we're 317 laps into this race. More after this. The winningest active driver at Darlington leads here this time. 6 wins has Dale Earnhardt recorded here, and he is leading the Southern 500. We're showing you the interval between him and here is 2nd and 3rd. Ernie Irvin once again makes a bid for 2nd as he looks to the inside of Alan Kowicki at the end of the front straightaway. And turn 1, Kowicki holds on the 2nd spot.
Just not traction down on the inside of the track coming off of 2. But Ernie Irvin got pretty good traction that time and is going to be able to move inside of Kowicki and take over 2nd position. Now he slides high. Kowicki trying to come back, but can't quite do it.
He'll be able to hold on to it. So Ernie Irvin, last week's winner at Bristol, now is 2nd, and Kowicki is 3rd.
That's pretty good. Kowicki, I think, used his mind a little bit there because the first thing you can do is race with a 4-car right now. If they have any hopes whatsoever of catching Dale Earnhardt, they need to worry about catching him and not racing each other.
We'd like to congratulate Danny Glad, who has been chosen the Western Auto Mechanic of the Race. Danny Glad, a member of the Alan Kowicki team. So he is the mechanic of the race here at the Southern 500.
right now.
Earnhardt going down the back straightaway, entering turn 3. Brett Bodine and Dick Triple, both those cars a lap down.
Yeah, Brett is a lap down now. He was on the lead lap, but after he made his pit stop, he's a lap down in 11th place.
Well, I'll tell you, there was one point in this race that I would have given you a nickel for Dale Earnhardt's chances of winning, but he has stayed right in there and is eligible for the $30,400 in Unocal money, plus the $100,000 from R.J. Reynolds, plus the purse that he wins for winning the race.
Probably a couple $100,000.
Nice
Not
payday.
much you said fast.
Not as much as I wanted to say.
I didn't want to say that. I remember Fred Lorenzen in 1963 won an incredible $112,000 season.
Yeah.
Unheard of. Unheard of. $100,000 in a season. And now Earnhardt can pick up a bonus of $100,000 if he wins 2 races. Earnhardt got a little bit of a tough break when he passed up Strickland going in turn 3. Had to back off the throttle. That's going to let Ernie gain maybe half second on him.
Well, we are a little bit behind on our commercial breaks, and we want to have all of them out of the way so that when we get to the final laps of this race, we can show you the shootout that all of us here in the booth anticipate. Ernie Irvan has been closing in, and the question is going to be who's going to survive here this afternoon. So we'll take another break and get another one out of the way and be right back to Darlington. It appears as if Dale Earnhardt has experienced another bad break. He has radioed the crew and thinks that he has a tire equalizing. They are standing by on pit road ready for him. He got up into the wall in turn number 1 last lap, but he stays out there and doesn't come in.
Who's there? They're ready. In case Earnhardt decides he wants to come in.
He has maintained about the same distance. He was about 4.5 seconds ahead of Ernie Irvan, but that situation that Benny mentioned a moment ago that he had to back off passing Hut Strickland going into turn 3 cost him about a second. Now he has a similar situation with Rob Moroso, but he just drives around him. And so he's about 3.5 seconds now ahead of Ernie Irvan.
Less than 40 laps to go for Earnhardt. Chocolate doesn't have the helmet on. Won't need fuel, of course, but
if he comes in, they'll put fuel in it.
But it's a pretty good indication that he won't be coming in. How about Jerry?
Well, he did radio in, as you said, Bob, and he thinks he has an equalized tire on the right side, but they've been clocking him the last few laps, and other than the fact that he bounced off the wall, that in turn 1, his lap speeds have been pretty consistent. So what he told Childress was a minute ago, hey, unless I'm slowing down, I'm staying out here. He said, I'd like to get a yellow flag, but I don't want to be the one that causes it. So we'll just stay out here and see what happens. They're going to roll the dice.
All right.
Really, when he has clear running out there, fellas, he is maintaining the advantage that he has over Ernie Irvan, but they're ready for him. The crew, in case he does come in, they won't be surprised, in other words.
Yep.
Tell you what, it's not an envious spot to be in for Dale Earnhardt. Think that you have a problem and not be able to do anything about it.
Especially when you're leading the race.
In fact, he's picking up a little bit right now. Morgan Shepherd is in the pits. Morgan being shown, well, he's at least 3 laps down. He's had a tough day here today, so he's out on the top of 18.
And here are the cars that are out of competition. Rusty Wallace, first out with a blown engine. Race was over very quickly for Rusty.
He's probably back in Charlotte watching this on TV. Hi, Rusty.
Walter eliminated a crash.
He has been back out there running a little bit. I don't know if he's gone back in the pits or not, but he was back out there at one time. There's Kyle Petty. He's out there too, but he's losing a lot of laps. Ernie Irvan really got caught up behind Rob Moroso going into turn 3 that time, so that hurt him some.
So Dale the fact that he thought at one point he had a tire going down, stays in the lead of the Southern 500. Dale Earnhardt continues to lead.
I had him the last time on my stopwatch at 33.58. Wiggles a little bit as he moves around Davey Allison, who is currently being shown 2 laps down. Now it'll be 3 laps down. He's in 16th position, Davey is.
Let's take a look at the point standings as they are right now. And here's how they are running in this event. Mark Martin is 6th. Earnhardt is the leader. Bodine is 7th. Rusty Wallace, the big loser today, although he's going to hold on to that 4th position because he was so far ahead of Bill Elliott, who is in 4th position. But Elliott certainly will close in terms of points on Rusty Wallace. There's the leader, Dale Earnhardt, and now we'll show you how far Ernie Irvin is behind in 2nd position.
About 3.5 seconds. You'll see him coming into the picture there very shortly.
Kodak Film Chevrolet, Lumina, driven by Ernie Irvin is 2nd. Alan Kulwicki is 3rd, Bill Elliott is 4th, and Harry Gant 5th. Field snapshot will allow you to find your favorite drivers here. Here's the 11 and 5 cars.
They'll be battling for the 7th position. Earnhardt leading, Ernie Irvin 2nd, Alan Kulwicki is 3rd, Bill Elliott 4th, Harry Gant 5th, Mark Martin 6th. The 11th car, Jeff Bodine is 7th, Ricky Rudd there is 8th in the 9th car. 9th is Sterling Marlin, and 10th is Derek Cope. That's the 10 cars that are on the lead lap. Now Derek Cope is not too far from going a lap down. He's just in front of Dale Earnhardt.
There's Rick Mast in the Valvoline Napa Auto Parts car being lapped again by Earnhardt. We'll give you a field snapshot and we'll time Earnhardt's lap and give you a chance to find your favorite driver and see how he is in relationship to there is Derek Cope right ahead of Earnhardt. There's Mast and Spencer Irvin. Here comes Kulwicki in 3rd. There's Elliott.
There again, right behind Bill.
5th place.
Wilson. Pack of cars running here. Bodine and Rudd.
Barry Labonte.
Larry Pearson, by the way, is back in that car. He was relieved for a little while, but Larry Pearson is back behind the wheel. And the lap is 33.7. It's 145.9. So he lost much speed.
They're still running a pretty good clip this late in the race. Lapses head on and suffering with that vibration. So now there are 9 cars in the lead lap as Derek Cope goes a lap down.
And we're 26 laps away from the checkered flag.
Probably remember every one of those laps.
Oh, here's Ricky Rudd and Jeff Bodine. And Rudd will go into 7th going into turn number 3.
If he goes up the hill, watch Jeff Bodine come under him. Yep.
Just a little bit of contact between Rudd and Jeff Bodine there. Let's look at it again.
Coming off turn 2, and Ricky Rudd is trying to get underneath Jeff Bodine. Whoa, and just runs right in the back of him. Isn't that amazing? Those guys are able to play bumper tag at 150 miles per hour.
It really is.
Now Rudd beginning to pull away from Jeff Bodine as he moves around Morgan Shepherd. Shepherd just hanging in there trying to make as many laps as he can. Get as many points as he can.
Shepherd and Elliott have been involved in the position in the Winston Cup point standings for the last few weeks. First one will be in 5th and then the other. And Bill is running ahead of Morgan in the race here today. So Elliott will, if the race should finish right now, hold on to that.
Bob, we mentioned that there are 9 cars in the lead lap. Derek Cope just went a lap down. He is still being shown in 10th place. Another car that's just 1 lap down is Brett Bodine. He is in 11th place as we see Dale Earnhardt. 2 laps down in 12th place is Dick Prickle. Rob Moroso in 13th. Rick Wilson in 14th, and Terry Labonte in 15th. Those through 15th are 2 laps down.
The 9 and 33 cars, 4th position, held by Bill Elliott, and 5th is Harry Gant.
As we watch to see if Gant can take that position away. 3 laps down in 16th is Davey Allison. Dave Marcus is 17th. Larry Pearson, as you mentioned, is back in the Hedrick car, and he is running 18th. And Phil Parsons running in 19th position after an early spin.
He's run by little brother.
That's great. I tell you what, he hasn't been racing that much this year, and to stay out there in this heat is quite a feat.
Okay, we'll leave this battle here for 4th to bring you up to date on what's happening at the front. Dale Earnhardt continues to lead. What's the situation in his pit, Jerry?
Well, he still reports that the car is like a bucking bronco out there. It is vibrating violently in the right front, but he realizes that he only lost about a half a second a lap, and he's still ahead of Ernie Irvan. And I was trying to figure out why they would want to take a chance and maybe not bring him in for a pit stop anyway, but one of the crew members, who's one of the business managers for Richard Childress, said, here, let me show you why we're not pitting. It's $100,000 to win from Winston. It's $30,400 to win from Unocal. The Southern 500 pays almost $60,000. That's a $190,000 pit stop. That's a pretty heavy-duty pit stop.
I believe I'd stay out there and take the chance of winning all that money. Dale Earnhardt apparently is going to do so, and we'll know in less than 20 laps if he wins the Southern 500 or if someone else will. We hope you'll stay with us for the remaining laps here at Darlington. Go in the Southern 500 1990 edition. Dale Earnhardt, who won here last year, is in line to repeat and pull off his 7th win here on this racetrack and his 3rd victory in the Southern 500. The interval. First, Earnhardt, and second, Irvan, 3.6 seconds.
It's hung right in there from 3.5 to 3.8 on my stopwatch for the last 8 or 10 laps. So it depends on how they get through a turn or how they might get through some traffic. There's only one car between them. The Jack Pennington car, Earnhardt lap in about 2 miles. Earnhardt gets a little lap on the 9th place car, Sterling Marlin, not too far ahead of him. There you can see Sterling Marlin in the Smithco Oldsmobile. Come into the picture again. Let's see if he gained into that lap. Nope, lost some.
Yep.
2/10 of a second.
For those of you just joining us at the 5 o'clock Eastern Time hour, it has been a Dale Earnhardt, Bill Elliott, sometimes Jeff Bodine and Ernie Irvan race for the most part. Right now, it is Dale Earnhardt who leads the race. However, he has reported to pit crew that he has a severe vibration in the car and thought a few laps ago about coming in. But the chance of winning the Unocal bonus of $30,000 plus, and the chance of winning a $100,000 bonus from R.J. Reynolds, and the chance of winning his 3rd Southern 500, he lost another 1/10 of a second. Ernie Irvan did. Kept Dale Earnhardt out there.
Now Earnhardt moving around Sterling Marlin on the outside, got awfully close to the wall. Marlin gave him the running room he needed.
Pull it off his 7th victory.
Yep.
You know, fellas, he came awfully close to winning. We're adding up the money there that he could win by winning this race. About the same amount of money he could have won at Daytona when he came close to winning down there.
Lost another 1/10 of a second. 3.9. 3.9. Okay, who was the last driver to win back-to-back Southern 500s, guys?
Beats me. I'm not into that stuff.
Well, it was David Pearson in 1976 and 1977.
Wow. Goes way back.
Been a while.
That was in a Wood Brothers car, too.
Trying to block that stuff out. I was one of the guys he beat those years.
Well, Ernie has lost more time now.
He lost 2/10 of a second again.
Yep.
It's over 4 seconds now, the interval that Earnhardt has on Ernie Irvan.
Ernie is really not any danger from the 3rd place car. It was Alan Kowicki, because he has a bigger lead on 3rd than Earnhardt has on him.
He does. So Kowicki is a good 6 seconds behind Ernie Irvan. And then Bill Elliott's about 2 seconds behind him. place car. Harry Gant's about a second behind Bill Elliott, second and a half.
Doyle Ford has all 10 fingers showing, indicating that there are 10 laps to go.
Second place car, Ernie Irvin.
Remember, he won just last Saturday night in Bristol. Now he's in second position here.
A little traffic there going around Larry Pearson, which past Morgan Shepherd on the backstretch. But this car is moving over, getting him things racing.
Again, after Ernie Irvin in third position is Kowicki, fourth is Elliott, fifth is Harry Gant, sixth is Mark Martin, seventh is Rudd, eighth Jeff Bodine, and ninth Sterling Marlin.
So there are now 8 cars on the lead lap.
Alan Kowicki had a turnaround the last couple of months. The first 2 or 3 months of the season, his season was disastrous. But since about June started, Alan Kowicki, and that's here at Ford. Oh, there's a car smoking right in front of Sterling Marlin, smoking in front of Ernie Irvin, her second place car. I mean, he keeps running.
It's the 9th place car.
He keeps going with that. Marlin. What if he got in the wall? No, look at that thing smoke. Sterling.
Wonder if that's rear end grease or smoke.
What that is, the car's still running.
Boy, that would give you second thoughts about standing on the accelerator.
NASCAR black flag.
Yep, black flag to Sterling Marlin.
Got to make the racetrack slick. He's got to be putting a little bit of oil or something down there, making it slick for Ernie Irvin. Of course, when you see that smoke in front of you, Benny, you're already tense, and then you see that smoke out there, and it really pops you.
Sure does.
And that is between first and second, so it's going to be a disadvantage to Ernie Irvin. Earnhardt will come down and complete 361 laps. 6 to go.
Yeah, he's stretching that lead now. Ernie has had to slow down back there behind that smoke of Ernie Irvin. In fact, he's 5 3/10 seconds behind.
Bill Elliott, Harry Gant. That was a race just a few laps ago, but meanwhile, Elliott's pulled away from Harry Gant.
Marlin came into the pits, goes back out, still smoking.
Third place, Alan Kowicki. There he is.
Scattered out now, none of them in danger of losing their position.
Second place at the Pepsi 400 at Daytona in early July. Alan Kowicki runs third here this afternoon. He was 6th just last Saturday night.
Our scanners tells us that Ernie Irvin is asked his crew to have oxygen standing by when the race is over. So,
well, Sterling Marlin pulled out of the racetrack and was again black flag by NASCAR with 4 laps to go now.
Well, he's doing the wise thing. Sterling's running on the 8th of the race.
Yeah,
he's really not a threat to anyone down there. So. Here comes Earnhardt, vibration and all.
Yep. 3 laps from the end. There's second place Irvin. Gotta say that Ernie Irvin has, and we've said it before, but again we say he has made great strides since he was here in April.
It sure has. He'll probably remember that day as long as he lives, the day in April. Of course, he may remember this day because second in the Southern 500.
Earnhardt is looking for his 7th win of 1990. 2 laps to go. This will be his 46th Winston Cup victory if he can hold on for another lap and 3/4.
He's going to pass me one of these days.
You have 50?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think he'll do it.
As we watch Earnhardt go around the corner, Bob Jenkins, happy birthday on Tuesday.
Thank you, Benny.
How old are you, 52?
No, I'm 39.
You heard that again, Mark.
13 down here. White flag for Dale Earnhardt.
And happy birthday to Joshua Goldberg, the son of our producer, who celebrates a birthday on the same day that I do. 1 year old Joshua will be on Tuesday. And Dale Earnhardt is on his final lap in the Southern 500.
He can skip through 3 and 4.
Looking to become the second, win this race for the second consecutive year. He is in turn number 4 now. Dale Earnhardt brings the car off the banking. Here's the checkered flag, and Dale Earnhardt wins the Southern 500 for 1990. And the Richard Childress Turf Chevrolet crew celebrate on pit road as they have chalked up their 3rd Southern 500 victory. Ernie Irvin finishes 2nd, and John Kernan is with Richard Childress.
Richard, I tell you what, you guys got snake bit a few times, but you kept working and you came back.
This team never gives up, and Dale, we had a tire to equalize, and he just kept on getting it. It was just a great day, you know. We just want to thank Reynolds for putting up the extra 100,000, and we want to say hello to all the crews and everybody over in Far East. We're all with you, all the Winston Cup team.
Very big payday, and besides the $100,000 bonus, the team also picks up that Unical bonus for winning from the pole.
A big day for Dale Earnhardt, and we will be back to talk with him in a moment. Back here in Darlington, the 1990 edition of the Heinz Southern 500 is over. And Dale Earnhardt has won for the 2nd year in a row. Ernie Irvin 2nd, followed by Alan Kowicki, Bill Elliott, and Harry Gant. Our Speed World coverage being brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. Dale Earnhardt has moved his GM Goodwrench Chevrolet into victory lane here at Darlington. And in just a moment, we'll be going down to talk with him. He has to be very, very exhausted after this afternoon of racing. For our Sears Road Handler winner interview, let's go down to victory lane and Dr. Jerry Punch.
And appropriately on cue, the Goodwrench driver, Dale Earnhardt, climbs out and waves at this crowd and he gets a big round of applause. And I believe he'll pick up that Winston hat and put it on. Dale Earnhardt, congratulations on an outstanding effort.
Yeah, Daytona one shorter than me, you know.
I referred to that last cut tire. Now, yeah, you missed the million, but the Unical money, the money from Winston, the money from the Southern 500, that's about 190 grand you picked up here.
That's good. We pick up any points on Mark?
I'm sure you did by winning the race. Also, let me ask you, 40 laps to go, you felt the vibration in the right front. I mean, Childers had to be pacing those last 40 laps. Did you think about making a stop?
I was holding my breath. Car developed a vibration like an equalized tire. Just didn't. Was worried about it, but it made it all the way. I don't know what it was. I just thank the good Lord for a safe race. Though. It was a good long day, good hot day.
Answering your first question, you're now just 26 points behind Mark Martin, so you're gaining on that championship.
That's what I wanted to gain every race.
He's exhausted. He can barely talk, but he's certainly happy here in victory lane. Dale Earnhardt winning his 2nd consecutive Southern 500.
A hot day has come to a close. Dale Earnhardt has once again won the Southern 500. Let's take a look at the top 10. Irvin 2nd, Alan Kowicki 3rd, then Bill Elliott and Harry Gant. Finishing in the second 5, finishing in 6 through 10 was Mark Martin, Ricky Rudd, Jeff Bodine, Derek Cope, and Brett Bodine. And as you heard, it is a 26-point margin now that Mark Martin has over Dale Earnhardt, with everybody else staying in the same position in the top 5. Next race here on ESPN, September 16th, the Peak Anti-Freeze 500 live at 12:40 from Dover International Speedway. My thanks to Ned, Benny, John, and Dr. Jerry Punch, and thanks to you for joining us for this Labor Day tradition here at Darlington. For now, this is Bob Jenkins. Be careful this Labor Day weekend. So long, everyone.